Okay, guys, welcome to the Thursday Q&A session from class 4, which is our campaign strategy session. Super excited to have you here today. Melissa's here with me to answer your questions. I have access, once again, to the admin, so I'll be able to get in there and read your questions as well so we don't miss any. So I'm going to go ahead and let Melissa kind of start to open this up. Gosh, we got a good. And Carolina, I got your email. Thank you for that. And I'm excited that you're liking the course. So here we go. Let's go ahead and Melissa, just start diving into the questions. Like as they come in, maybe we can stay ahead of the curve this time.
Definitely. Thank you guys for joining us today. We really appreciate having you here. And definitely keep sending in your questions. We've gotten a few so far, but I've only got about 4 in the queue right now. So go ahead and keep sending them in so we can make sure we get to everybody and everything that everybody wants to know, which is awesome. So first question is coming in from Support 42. Support 42 has a couple of questions for us, but it looks like his first question is, it sounds like we pull search term reports every 30 days. Do you wait until then to pause the bleeding keywords, or do you pause them as soon as they look like they're underperforming?
That's a great question. So no, you have okay, when it comes to campaign optimization and management, and again, this just comes from the professional side because I have to manage multiple campaigns on the professional side to just manage the agency. So there definitely is some workflow there that can be simplified. So what you want to be doing is I would say every 3 to 5 days, like clockwork, you go into your existing campaigns and especially your high traffic ad groups. The ones that, especially your high traffic ad groups, and I'm hearing some clicking in the background, I'm not sure where that's coming from, especially your high traffic ad groups that have a lot of the most keywords in it, right? Like your single ad groups, your scale ad groups, your browse ad groups, keywords that get a lot of volume, and you have quite a few keywords in those campaigns, competitors especially as well. You want to go in at the ad group level, campaign level. You go campaign first, then you go ad group, and then you're going to go keywords, and you're going to sort your keywords by sales, highest to lowest. Again, you need to do this at least once and sometimes twice a week if you want to be very effective. You wouldn't need to do it more than twice a week, but twice a week is probably best because every time you plug these keywords, you save yourself money and you kind of make sure the money you're investing goes to the stuff that's performing versus bleeding your budget. So sort your keywords by sales in the most important ad groups that drive all your traffic. It's again 80-20, so the majority of the traffic is going to come out of about 20% of your ad groups. Go ahead, get in there, look at the keywords, do like a 30-day view. So and make sure you give Amazon about 5 days leeway in the date range. So you would go in there and say, okay, so if we were looking at today's date, which is the 23rd, I would do my date range from say July 20th through August 20th, or maybe even July 15th through August 15th to give Amazon some time for attribution to catch up in the campaign manager, sales attribution. And then I'd look at my keywords sorted by sales, and I would start to look at keywords that had high ACoS. I would start to look at keywords that had high CPCs. I would be looking at keywords that had clicks and no sales, and I would be pausing those. And especially when you start to mine search terms into that scale group or even the buy group where you capture bids, when you start to mine the search terms, it's especially important that you're watching that scale group at least twice a week, no more than twice a week, 1 to 2 times a week, getting in there, sorting those keywords and pausing them as soon as they come in with crazy CPCs, no sales conversions, get those paused. So you do that in the campaign manager, and then you run your search term report once a month. Every 30 days, you run a search term report, and then you do kind of a big kind of overhaul, give yourself a full afternoon to do it. Get the search term report downloaded, prepare for it, during the week. Give yourself a Friday, maybe a Saturday afternoon when it's quiet. Get into the search term report and you start to highlight all the new search terms that have come in off of those main seed keywords that you're driving, and then go ahead and add those to your scale group as exact match. Sometimes as broad if they need to be set that way. Definitely add all those in once a month. And at the same time, you'll do that cleaning. But the cleaning process is in the campaign manager, totally separate from mining the search terms. And if you do both those processes consistently, the weekly and the monthly, you're going to see that you get incredibly good results and your budget is always really well managed. Same time that you do the search term report once a month is going to be the same time that you go in and start setting those max CPC bids and doing those as well. And if I were you, I would set aside 2 separate days. So one day to add the new search terms and get those into the account, And then another day to go ahead and kind of start to move the stuff that's bleeding on the ACOS, either pausing it completely or moving it over to the buy group with the lower CPC. You know, so those are the things that I would do. And I think if you really don't have the interesting thing, and I think most people really mistake this, is with advertising, you know, you can check your daily numbers as you should to see if something is, you know, crazy, but your main campaign goal should be like 2x a week in the Campaign Manager, 1 time a month, heavy lifting, doing lots of good optimization and lots of strategy. And then I suggest a 90-day quarterly strategy. So you look at all the numbers, you know, at the beginning of each quarter. You'll do it again coming up here for Q4. You're probably midway through Q3. But when you get ready for Q4, you're going to want to look at everything your campaigns have done all year, and you're going to want to put together a 90-day strategy. We do it as a Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 strategy, you know, taking into account holiday and Prime Day for the quarters that they apply in, any other seasonal variations. But we really do those quarterly strategies, and that gives us some time to reflect and look at everything that is working and where we could get better results, and look at, you know, where are the opportunities, because Amazon is so new in terms of its ad platform. There's always new placements, new strategies, new tactics that you can roll out. So I like to kind of go at a quarterly view on that stuff. So to me, it's really 2x a week, once a month with some heavy lifting, and then every 90 days on the strategy. Okay, what's next, Melissa?
Well, let's just do a real quick one. I'm going to pick off the top. Do you know when that PDF is going to be available to them?
Yeah, it's on my desk right now. I just need to do some final edits. It's really, when we're doing those, we kind of get through them, and then I have to add additional screen caps and instruction, because it seems like no matter how many times I proofread it, there's always like another draft, because it's very easy to be confusing, as you guys saw in that first template we released. So I know that you guys, I don't want to confuse you guys, but yes, it's on my desk. It's really close. It's like 90% done.
Fantastic. Okay, so the next question. When they're calculating the total market share, you instructed them to remove duplicates from the reports. When they remove those duplicate ASINs, it looks like some of them also have duplicate titles. Do you think that that's an indicator of parent-child listings?
Okay, say it one more time, Melissa.
Okay, sorry. So they're calculating the total market share.
Yes.
You instructed them to remove the duplicates from the reports.
Yes.
When they removed the duplicate ASINs, it looks like there's also duplicate titles still in there that have different revenue figures. Do you think that that's parent-child listings?
Yes, it absolutely is. It is. And your market share is going to be, if you pull your market share, just quick pulls. Again, this is kind of like a quick and dirty market share analysis. You don't need to get crazy, because you don't need to be granular. You just want to kind of know what the best sellers are doing. So without question, like I showed you on that Levi Strauss image from last week, without question, the child ASINs can do a lot of sales. So we looked at one pair of jeans that was maybe doing $500,000 a month, but when you put all the variations of those jeans into one group, it was more like $1 million a month, or more than that, right? So you're definitely going to see that as you start to total up those variations, you're going to get quite a bit more velocity. But you just want to focus on the ones that are listed in the BSR and the variations that are listed organically. And without question, in the BSR especially, you're going to see duplicates. Like say someone's got a parent-child relationship in the BSR, and there could be multiple childs ranking, different styles, different fits. Definitely that's a case. So I wouldn't, you're definitely just seeing the parent-child duplicate.
Okay, great. Let's see here. Let's skip over that one. We've got a lot of really good questions coming in, guys. You guys are getting really specific with some of the stuff, though. Now, keep in mind, we don't want to share any of your product information. We don't want to share any of that stuff. So when you're asking questions, a little bit broader rather than being so specific with your product, that kind of stuff, right, Shuri? We don't want to share any of that information.
Yeah, for sure. These look good, though. There's a lot of good stuff coming through.
Definitely. Okay, so what is the best way to clean up a campaign that has multiple products, 6 to 8 or more? It shows that you're only selling really 1 or 2 of them, but you want to preserve that sales history. What's the best way to clean up that?
Well, you just got to focus on your best-selling products. You want to focus on the campaign that's had the most sales history, without question. So if you've run 6 to 8 campaigns, it's really not even important what product variations have been in those campaigns. It's more important that you preserve the sales history for the best-selling product within a similar variation. So for example, if you had, I don't know how your campaign would be structured, because I don't understand your parent-child relationship or why you have 6 or 8 campaigns, right? It could be unique. I would just suggest that you get in there and you pick the one, you pick the campaign that has the most sales history, the strongest performance. You pick the one that has been selling the product that you're trying to promote, and then you build out a more structured ad group targeting within that campaign and scale from there. So hopefully that answers your question. But if you want to preserve it on if you want to preserve sales history on products that aren't really selling, that's not really important. It's more important that with advertising is not the same as any other tactic. It's really a winner takes all game. So you can really only advertise at scale the stuff that's going to win and is going to take the market and compete. One, because you're competing on sales and you compete on like the entire kind of history of the listing itself, right? So there's a lot of competitive metrics in there with Amazon. So you got to pick those ones that are going to nail it. So I would just pick the one that sells best. You can always see in your business center what has the highest sessions, which has the highest unit session percentage is important, but so is how many sessions that page is getting. Pages that are getting a lot of sessions are already favored by the algorithm. Pages that get a higher unit session conversion rate are going to be favored by you and your bank account. So it's a bit of a different strategy. Amazon likes the stuff already. If it's got high sessions, Amazon's already liking it. So you want to look at that. But for you, from a conversion standpoint and a profitability standpoint, you got to focus on that unit session percentage to really get the win out of the campaign and out of the product you select. So I'm not sure how you would preserve sales history on a bunch of products that haven't sold very much, but I do know that you want to take the campaign that has the most traction for that parent or child ASIN, doesn't matter which variation, as long as it's the same product, same keywords, and you want to use that as a shell to rebuild more advanced strategies.
Great. And going off of that parent-child relationship with the ASINs, what's the max number of children's ASINs that you would have under one parent? It looks like we've got somebody here that has 200 plus varieties. How do you advertise without overlap?
Well, you don't. You got to pick the ones that are best selling. If you're bringing them all to one parent ASIN, there's no reason to sell. There's no reason to advertise them all because it's going to be the page. Even now, like Amazon's kind of changed the bestseller rank around a little bit to where even some of the child variations are going to get the juice and the bestseller badge from one variation, right? So when you're looking at parent-child relationship, especially in advertising, this doesn't count for everything else you're doing, I'm telling you, but in advertising, the idea is to use that parent-child relationship to bring all the traffic to the best-selling child. People will self-select. I'm telling you, it's a very easy process. I see the back-end data. I get it directly from Amazon Advertising in Seattle. I get it out of my reports. Without question, there's a massive brand halo effect. If you bring people to a product page, whether you have 200 variations or 20 or 30 or 10, it doesn't matter. If you bring them to a strong, high-clicking, high-converting child ASIN, the rest of those ASINs will get all the juice from those keywords. So there's no advantage to taking and putting multiple variations of a single product into play unless they show, like last week when I gave you some examples, unless they have a significant amount of search volume indicating that there's a preference. Like we talked about coffee and the difference between like K-cup and bean and ground, right? That's very distinctively different. We talked about the jeans and looking at skinny versus boot cut. Those are very different. But if you're talking the variations, like it's a scent or a flavor, and it doesn't get a huge or even a size, and it doesn't get a significant amount of traffic, best to just put that winner into the campaign and run it. You definitely don't want to be diluting your budget or your energy across multiple child ASINs. Pick the winner.
Okay, great. And I think we're just going to keep going on that because we have a lot of people asking about parent-child stuff. So we'll just kind of stay on topic if that's all right with you, Cherie.
We'll go back through the questions. And I don't know how you view this in the admin, Melissa, but I mean, I hopefully you can see more than just the one page, but I don't want to lose anybody on the trail.
Nope. What I'm doing actually is as you guys are putting in your questions, I'm copying them to my own spreadsheet so I can see all of them all at once. Yep. So I'm not losing anybody.
Top of the page. So I see all the you know, I see the guys on, I see Carolina, I see Julie, I see Pret, I see Robert, Christine, I see a lot, but Beatrice, I see a lot of good familiar names with good questions, but I can only see coming in real time. Cool.
Definitely. So yeah, I'm just kind of going from, you know, as they're coming in, I'm copy pasting them and going down the list. But it looks like a lot of them are talking about parent-child relationships and variations and stuff. So I guess we'll kind of keep on topic.
Because you can make a lot of money with that. A lot of people don't realize that they're running all these child variations and they're bleeding their ad budget into products that don't click or convert, because there's going to be buyer preference. You have a bestseller for a reason. We don't control this. It's just merchandising, right? Like, we don't pick the best sellers, the market does. And then when the market picks them, the algorithm picks them. So we have very little control over what the shopper is going to do in terms of their preference. And although you definitely don't want to have a product where you don't give the shopper variations, because that's just not smart, but at the same time, in advertising, it's definitely a little known secret that if you really push that best-selling variation to that parent page, that's where you're going to keep a lot of your money in your pocket. You're going to pay lower CPCs. You're going to get better ad rank, which means more sales. You're going to get better sales history. You're going to be building that listing up so much stronger by focusing on that main child. I think a lot of people dilute that out. And it was a good strategy for like 2016, early 2017. But boy, 2018, you want to be, kind of pulling that in so that your ad budget is really going to one place. It's definitely a competitive advantage in terms of cost.
For sure. And we've got somebody asking, can you explain the use of other attributes when you have a parent and child variation? Like a product with multiple colors is the example. So how would you structure the back-end search in this case?
Yeah, I love that. So back-end search terms do a really good kind of single unique, keyword only list, about 250 characters is the max, up in the main lines that they give you in the search term character or keyword character boxes. And then when you get to other attributes, you'll have, different places, and I can't think of them off the top of my head how they're listed. It varies by category slightly, but there'll definitely be an area in the attributes where it will say, it'll say specific details. There's usually 5 attribute sections. I wish I was looking at one right now, but you'll definitely have an area there that's clearly defined that you should put the color. And then when it's other attributes, I like to use category words. So you just kind of want to look at like, okay, so it would have like in the attributes, it would have like its purpose or use. And, for there, say it was beard oil, you might put men's grooming. Go look at those categories, right? It's going to go under men's grooming. I like to use category words in the other attributes to describe its use or its intended use or all the different things in there. And then definitely somewhere in the lower attributes, you're going to see an area where you want to define both your size and your color or flavor, or any other kind of standard attribute that the algorithms can be looking for to categorize your product. I have tested it multiple ways, and without question, colors do best in the other attributes. When you add them up into the main search terms, it once again kind of starts to dilute that ranking a little bit. I think it's better in the other attributes, colors.
Okay, and on to the next one. We've got somebody with a product that they feel is in the wrong category. When they checked the BSR in that category, the product that they have is not related to the other ones that they're seeing, but they already have the Amazon Choice badge and it's ranking organically on several competitor pages. Can you explain maybe how the algorithm sees that? I mean, do you think that the algorithm can sense that it's the wrong category or no?
It's not that the algorithm is going to sense it as much as, it doesn't give you a competitive advantage in the sense, the only time the category is an advantage is if you could take that badge, that bestseller badge, right? Which I take for all my products. I work really hard to acquire those little orange badges pretty consistently. So the hard thing about being irrelevant in your category is that you can't capture a badge. You won't be able to, because if your product isn't in the right category, then there's going to be other products that have higher sessions or sales velocity or other attributes. It doesn't really put you in it's like apples and oranges. Like, you need to be in a contest with other apples and then be the best apple. It'd be impossible to be the best apple in a group of oranges, or to be an apple in a group of oranges, right? It wouldn't work. So it's a disadvantage to you. I know there's obviously being in the right category is important to the algorithm and ranking, but if you're already ranking, it seems scary at best to change it. And I can't give you that advice because I don't know what I would do with that. But I can tell you, for any other product you're listing and anybody out there doing this now, be focused in a category where it's apples to apples, because you need to be the best apple. Make sure you're looking at that in your subcategory, because the deal with being the best apple is you get that little orange badge and it boosts conversions by about 20%. It definitely gives you buyer preference and it allows you to take more traffic for less money. So that would be your only there. I'm not sure, because I don't know exactly how the algorithm is going to view that, but we have moved, like I've said before, we had a product that was in the wrong category, and then we moved it to the right category and we didn't get as many sales. It definitely, kind of the size of the category can impact the sales. But unfortunately, the relevance of the category is what allows you to take that badge.
Okay. And going back to, we have a lot of people coming in with the child ASINs and parent ASINs. I mean, that's just seems to be what's on topic for right now, which is great. So we're seeing all your questions, guys, and we're loving them. These are awesome. Question quick here. If we've been advertising all the child ASINs, but only one of them is doing really well, should we pause the others, or how long do we let them run before we pause them?
So you've been advertising the child ASINs, but only one one will do well because it'll be the one that the market likes and the one the algorithm likes. You can just pause the other ones and put all your money on the winner. Again, with advertising and CPC, with pay-per-click advertising, I don't care if you're doing this in Google, in Facebook, it doesn't matter where you're doing this, without question, your performance stats define what you pay and how you rank. And there's no way to escape it in pay-per-click. So when we looked at the last session and we talk about our biggest problems, our biggest obstacles to winning in advertising, those obstacles are conversion and CPC and relevance. So boy, when you're talking about CPC and conversion, there's no bigger advantage than having a product that's going to get good performance. It gives you just massive advantage over the competition. So I would shut down those child ASINs immediately, especially if they're all going to the same parent. That parent's going to get the juice. There's no damage in it. Unless, like I said, like the example here about attributes in the back end, if you have a product that has a lot of high search volume and different color variations, then that's going to either merit their own campaigns or their own ad groups, depending on how high the volume is. So you will give your child variations some juice if there's specific searches for them in terms of size or color, but the majority of that traffic, everything you buy in the category and competitors and the stuff that, your single keywords, all that should go to one winning ASIN.
I have to laugh. Julie just said, "Goodbye, dud child." She must be pausing some stuff.
It's like Lord of the Rings, right? Oh, my precious, nothing's precious but our cash, right? First rule in money is we got to not lose it, then we can make it.
Exactly. So with those child variations, if you're leading with bestseller, so if they're number one in bestseller, can you clarify where they would put the variation characteristics like color? Are you saying that they should put them in the back end, or they should put them in the title for the child ASIN?
I always see it both places. I mean, when I see color and size variations in all of my accounts, and again, I'm, this is a lot of good stuff for Amazing because this is what they do. But for me, strategically, I usually get these listings already ready to roll and I just go drive a bunch of traffic and sales. But when I'm looking at them, almost all of my clients, and they have the best selling products in, the top categories, all always have their size and color in the title without question. And then I put them on the back end and I put them in the other attributes. So when we're talking about size and color, I use the other attributes section to do that. And then in terms of the title, I think it's always best practice at the end of the title to for just the shopper, right, to include your size and color if it's a relevant. If it's part of the buying decision, it should be in the title. I think it helps the shopper. Obviously further out in the title, right, but not in the beginning where you're going to use your main keywords. But definitely further out, you should have that.
Okay, so
another question, I'm going to tidy up, Melissa. Will you ask me the question? I think Robert posted it about, or maybe a Smile about stuffing those other attributes. The word stuffing makes me nervous. I want to clarify that. But will you ask that question?
Yeah, let me find it here. Should we stuff keywords in subject matter text fields also?
Yeah, stuffing is a scary word. We're not stuffing anything. One of the things that I taught you guys in the first class, which was bumpy, so I definitely don't know if you caught it any more than I did, but one thing that I think is really valuable in Density, doing the SEO book, is it's a free tool. I love it. And it's in this guide that's on my desk right now that I need to finalize. The SEO book is a great tool to allow you to see what the density really looks like. So that'll also give you a good idea of which keywords should be weighted in the back end, right? Pulling a density on some top ranking competitors. And the one thing you want to look at are those percentages, right? So making sure that you're using a balanced amount of keywords that don't read, out of percentage with what the competitors are doing, because then it's going to look like you're stuffing. And then in the other attributes, I tend to be fairly light on keywords, and I use my 250 characters for my keywords, right? Keywords out of Density, keywords out of Magnet and Helium 10, all my seed keywords, I pull them out of Wordtree. All my seed keywords, when they're finalized, I take the uniques and I put them in to the back end and the 250 characters. But in my other attributes, I'm a little more selective and I try to really write it as it is. So I look at the category kind of keywords and I try to include those category descriptors in the other attributes section. So I try to say there, like I said, if like one of them is intended use. I try to use category descriptors. I look at the way Amazon has drilled down the category. I copy it into a sheet and I try to use those category descriptors in a very minimal way. I try to avoid overlap. I definitely don't use any of the characters I've already put in the 250 characters. I don't double those up because I've already done my job there. And I also don't do the thing that some people do where I avoid keywords in my title and bullets. If it's in my title and bullets, it still goes in the back end. I don't understand people say sometimes you don't need to do that. I do that anyway. So just my way, you can do it a million ways, right? Anything can be done a million different ways. But then in the other attributes, I'm really looking at category triggers. I'm really looking at intended use. I'm trying to kind of understand exactly what Amazon's looking for there. But I have found by using category words, you get a little more juice. The same terms they've used in the drill down in your category. So if they call it a grooming product, if they call it a decor product, these are not things you would use in your back end because your back end is reserved for the keywords that sell for you because that's what you do, sell. But the other attributes is a nice area to put things that aren't sales driven, like the broad category terms that you have nowhere else to put. A good example would be if I'm in home, a lot of the categories will drill down into decor. Obviously I don't have decor, but Amazon calls it decor. Or, if I'm in health and household, it will say health. Health is not a keyword that drives sales for me, but health is a great place to put the other attributes, intended use, health. You know what I mean? I kind of drill it down as a other attribute keyword. So those category keywords that you can't use anywhere else are really nicely placed in other attributes.
Great. And that should have clarified a couple other questions that I've got here. So I'm going ahead and marking those off, talking about attributes and where to put all those keywords. But when they're doing some house cleaning, so on the parent-child relationship, as mentioned, when they're going in and pausing the non-successful child ASINs that they're advertising, do you pause the child ad groups? Do you turn off the product image ads? What's the easiest way to clean that up without giving the Amazon algorithm the wrong signals?
Okay, that's a super good question. And going back to one last detail on back-end search terms, yes, there'll be a guide on back-end search terms in Act 2, and it comes after your STR report. So just so you guys know about back-end search terms, it is an important thing that you should be doing. And without question, your back-end search terms is based on the search term report, like everything else in your advertising, right? The search term report is the gold. Nothing else even matters. So your back-end search terms are going to be optimized, one, off the data we're pulling now. If we don't have data, we got to say, okay, what are the ranked products doing? And we go look at those through density. What are other products doing in the market that sell well? We do that through competitive analysis. But then as we get better and we start to get search term reports because we do killer keywords and start to build these single groups and mine them, as we start to do that, you're going to find that those keywords out of your search term report go into the back end. It's kind of you're going to, it's iterative. You're going to keep updating it, right? Optimization is an ongoing, lifelong project. So in a good way, it gets easier over time, but it gets better over time, and it has a snowball effect. But your back-end search terms are just like your ad campaigns. They get updated. They get updated based on the search terms that are converting to sales. So we will be covering back-end search terms. There will be a guide, and it will be something that I kind of dive into after you learn how to mine your search term report correctly and read that data. Then you will be using that search term data as well as uniques into your back end. So that's going to wrap that up, I think, with the back end. I think we've covered enough back end for this session. But now, Melissa, can you dive into that next one? Because it sounds like a campaign structure, and I want to take some notes.
Let's see here. Which one are you referring to? I just want to make sure that I listen.
About getting into the products and pausing and not sending the wrong signals.
Yeah. Well, let me find that. I'm just making sure I'm not losing anybody here along the way. So going back and forth between screens. Okay, so how do you do the house cleaning specifically? Do you pause child ad groups? Do you turn off the product image ads? What's the easiest and cleanest way that won't give the Amazon algorithm the wrong signals?
Absolutely. You get into the ad view in your campaign manager and you just pause the other ad variations. They're probably not performing that great anyway. They're either not getting impressions or they're not converting or they have a high ACoS. Regardless, you go into the ad view and you keep that winning product that you're going to be really pushing to market, the one that can compete with the other competitors in the space on both sales and reviews and history. Take that winning product and let that be the only one running, and then go ahead and just pause. No big deal there. Just pause the other ads that are running and keep it to the single. We do that all the time in cleanups. It works really well. You're not sending the algorithm any type of signal, especially when it's all coming off the same page anyway.
Okay, awesome. Let's go into a little bit about bidding. So we've got somebody asking, when you tier bid for rank, how do you personally, Cherie, bid? Do you bid higher for broad or do you bid higher for phrase?
Well, I think broad and phrase, to me, it goes back to me not understand. I mean, there's no way that I can be, I'm not inside the mind of the shopper. I have a lot of insights just based on my experience in the trenches, what the shopper might do. And same with algorithms. I have a lot of insights, but I'm not in their heads. So essentially, I'm definitely not in the head of the algorithm, and it's changing constantly. So because I don't know what it's going to do, I'm going to start my bid. I find with Amazon, I find broad match is usually going to get me more traffic and impressions, and that's super valuable to me. So I'm normally going to push my broad up, but I haven't found, it's just a slight tiered bidding. So I'm normally going to weight my broad bid above phrase. If I were in another channel, like a text-based channel like Google, it would flip. I would bid more on phrase. But in Amazon, I bid a little bit more on broad and then phrase after that. And I never know which one's going to deliver the traffic, but I would have to say if we had to like take a bet, broad will most of the time deliver more volume than phrase, but phrase delivers better search term reports. Phrase is such a good tool to get those search terms and that long tail in at speed. So I like both. I put a little more weight on broad, but not a significant more rate. I test both always because I never know which one is going to work better. And once again, when it comes to ranking for me, I do it visually. So as long as I'm ranking on that keyword and the keywords are profitable, I keep all variations going and I don't worry so much about that. Now, it would be different if Amazon gave me data that I could analyze on that rank, like, like a classic, like shows me my position, shows me my bid per rank. It's not that detailed yet. So since I don't have data and I would be guessing, I don't try to guess, so I just make sure I'm ranked and I put bids on all three keywords, tier them slightly, exact, broad, phrase, and let it go to market.
Okay, awesome. I'm getting a lot of feedback. Let's see. Okay, so we've got somebody asking about the customers ultimately bought that's laying above their ads. So, they're adding some new things, some new real estate to the product pages. So where the customers ultimately bought laying above their ads, is it only for vendors that have products sold with the FBA and FBM? Or do you know where that's coming from, where that data is coming from?
One more time. Again, I don't know if that's an ad question. Read it one more time.
They're asking about the box the customers ultimately bought is a new box, I think. Have you seen that one, Cherie?
Customers, you mean in the reports?
No, it's probably on the product page. Like when they come up with this, like their sponsored products is one of the real estates. Customers bought with this product.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yes, of course. Right.
Yes. Yeah. So this one's called Customers Ultimately Bought. I think it's a new one. I'm pretty sure this is a new box. It's laying above this person's ads. Do you think this one's only for vendors that are using the FBA and FBM?
I don't know. I think that honestly is the same ad unit that kind of shows up. I don't know where that ad unit would be coming from, but it's certainly, if there are some kind of speculation that there's new placements out of headline search, because you could do other placements in headline search now. But for sure, it's probably, I think that there's some placements that Amazon does kind of hold in-house for either, the media side of it. And I know that there's also places Amazon holds in-house for on the product pages, right? So definitely on the product pages, we're going to see, not product page, but the purchase page. Like as you get into the cart section of Amazon, there's some ads in there that run sometimes, and those are definitely privately kind of nothing you can optimize in your account. But I would say if you were going to try to rank in that, you might be testing. And when we get into campaign strategy and we're talking about headline search, you might get into the other placements in headline search category that might be ranking there. But right now, I have to say, honestly, there's a lot of placements that Amazon is doing themselves and are controlled just by Amazon. Especially Amazon's house brands have all got top of search on most of their main keywords, which is a new thing that's opened up in the past like 60 days. So Amazon is definitely locking down more real estate, especially those 80% above the fold conversion areas. Amazon's locking that down for their own products and their own preferred brands. So there's a lot of that going on right now. So with that new placement, it's questionable if it's going to come out of sponsored products or a headline search. It's it's headline search, most likely, if you're going to get it. But it's also questionable. It could also be, again, media, AMG. There's a lot of places those things could come from. But for right now, Amazon is locking down a lot of real estate on their own, and there's no way to get to it. It's actually Amazon-owned real estate.
Yep, and Robert just clarified customers ultimately bought is before the top ad space. So he was just clarifying that in the chat there. So thank you, Robert, for that feedback. I appreciate that.
And Rob, yeah, the audio. I'm not sure what's going on with Melissa's audio, but we'll check that out for sure. Thanks for the feedback.
Yep, I went ahead and let the amazing team know, so they were going to see if there was anything they could do on their end.
Okay,
great. Okay, so next question. When you're bidding on ad group level, when you're bidding ad group level at scale, don't you worry about overbidding due to the idea that all keywords inside must be at the same bid as the most expensive keyword?
That's what you don't worry about, because as you can see from my stats last week, the CPC varies by keyword, right? So like, I think I have these up for you guys. There you go. So if I'm looking at this, the CPC, and I'm trying to think where should I go to show you guys a good CPC on this. Yeah, it's here. This is a bad one, right? We looked at this last week. Look at those average CPCs. It's an auction-based system. I'm not going to pay more than the system. I'm going to pay like a penny more than my best competitor based on my sales against theirs. So, and my overall page performance against theirs. So page performance, sales history, all that weights into ad rank and the CPC that you pay. So if you look at my bid here, it's the same bid across most of these groups, but my average CPC in column I, so significantly different. Some places I'm getting charged 87 cents. Some places I'm getting charged $2.18. Just because you uncap, when I say uncap your bid, I mean set a bid that allows you to beat all competitors on all keywords and all queries, right? You want to win all the time, 24/7. Super valuable real estate right now on Amazon. If I set that bid, as you can see, my CPC comes back to me because it's a formula. You know, it's an algorithm, it's a computer. It's going to give me a computerized formula. I'm not going to pay more for that keyword than I need to. With Amazon, you want to be more concerned with not showing up for a keyword search, right? So you're better to uncap that bid and guarantee you show up versus trying to granularly save a few pennies on every single CPC, because you're not going to do it anyway. It's a formula based on your performance and your bid. All your bid does is tell the algorithm how much you're willing to pay if push comes to shove. All your bid does is say, I'm willing to pay more than my competitors for this spot, which I am. Especially with these conversion rates, I'll pay more than my competitors any day of the week. So I'm just telling the algorithm I'm going to pay more. But at the end of the day, it's still a formula that calculates the CPC at the keyword level. Your CPC is based on your conversion and your relevance, right, and the history. So you're not controlling those CPCs anyway. So it's better just to bid high and let the algorithm calculate the right CPC on the keyword level. Keywords are only going to be valuable to you based on their CPC and their conversion rate. And if they're valuable to you, you want every single sale that keyword could possibly give you.
Great. And I'm just going to address Carolina's question. She thought maybe it got buried, but it was definitely in the list. If they've got a low budget and their niche shop keywords have low volume search, should they also start some browse keywords that won't ruin the whole strategy in making their first shot count?
No, it won't. If you have low search volume, you need some history, and the browse keywords can work amazing. Like if we go back up here, Carolina, and we look at like this campaign, right? Like this is a lot of browse. I mean, this is like scale is a lot of the long tail, right? So this top group with 502 keywords working for me. And if my keywords are in there, they're working for me, which means they're driving sales or they're not even in my group. So, and I want to cover that too, Melissa, real quick as I answer her question though.
Yeah.
Somebody asked us on a previous session why, which is an awesome question, why you would pause keywords that were getting impressions and no clicks if those impressions give you brand visibility, right? But let me tell you that impressions are only valuable if they click and then they convert to sales. The reason for that is all goes back to like our biggest obstacles in winning in advertising, which is relevance is one of them, right? Our obstacles, one more time, our conversion, CPC, and relevance. Those are the things that'll get us every single time. So like relevance is a big deal for us. It's a big deal for the algorithm. It's a big deal for your history and what you pay, right? So as you start to kind of move through the relevance equation, if you're getting impressions, which means people are seeing your ad and they're not clicking, they're useless to you because it means people are seeing your ad and not interested. Because if they're interested, they're going to click. And if they're interested, they're going to buy, right? They're going to look at it. They're going to see it. They're going to click on it. They're going to buy. And then the next thing they're going to do is go search for it, right? They're going to use their keywords to go search for your brand. So those are the 4 things that make keywords valuable in any equation to us, that we can get a good view, get visibility, get someone to click, and then get someone to buy. If you're getting impression and no one's clicking, it's not relevant. That's just the end of the story, because it wouldn't be the case. If they were looking for your product under those keywords and it was getting impressions, they'd be buying and clicking. So at the end of the day, impressions are only valuable if it's a keyword that will click and buy as well, because that's just a relevance score. So you look really bad with the algorithm if you have impressions on keywords that don't click, because it says to the algorithm that you're just not relevant. Like, there you are advertising and people aren't liking what you're showing them. They're not responding, right? They're ignoring it. It's a really hard signal to send. So when I say get rid of something that's been in there 90 days plus, that has got impressions and no clicks, well, you're sending the algorithm a signal that says, hey, you show my thing 1 million times and no one clicks on it. It's a terrible signal, right? So get those out of there. You send a bad signal and it doesn't do you any good anyway. You can hang on to those impressions, but those keywords aren't valuable to you unless they click and sell. So that's what I mean by cutting impressions. I think that's an important differentiator to make when I talk about killer keywords, knocking those out and getting them out of your campaigns. So back to this question here, though, that I was looking at. Go ahead and read it one more time so we don't lose it, but I wanted to cover that when I was looking at this keyword count. Will you read me Caroline's question one more time?
Yes. Let me find it here quick. I was trying to copy paste everybody else's over there because we're getting some really great questions coming in.
Good questions. Take your time. I want to make sure we catch everybody. I'm less concerned about what we're doing, you know?
For sure. Okay, so Carolina says, if we have low budget and our niche shop keywords are low volume, they have low volume search, so we also start with some browse keywords. Yes. Won't that ruin the whole strategy of making our first shot count?
No, it really will not. You need to watch it tight though, Caroline. Watch it twice a week, right? Every 3 days, look at those clicks. If those browse keywords are getting like, let's just say 10 clicks, 15 clicks, 20 clicks and no sales, you got to shut them down. If they're coming in at 100% plus ACoS, probably have to pause them and rethink your bid, right? So when you look at those things, it's going to be how they perform for you, but there's no harm in testing them if you're a maverick and you're going to go in there and pause them the second they start to produce a poor result, right? The only time you have a problem with browse keywords messing you up is if they're going to eat all your budget and not give you any room for shop. That's what I mean by problematic and starting in browse. You get a general keyword going in a hot category like some of the ones like this one where you get a ton of impressions and clicks on a monthly basis, and it's going to eat your money up. If you have a limited budget, you can only spend so much, and Amazon gets a ton of search volume. I mean, Amazon is a machine. It is the biggest e-commerce platform out there. The search volume is massive, and the conversion volume is massive. So you get a lot of traffic when you put these big keywords in there, especially categories like grocery and home. I mean, you're not messing around. You're going to go through some clicks. People are clicking and buying on Amazon. It's expensive. So all I say when it comes to browse is maybe a third priority is you got to make sure that if you have a limited budget, you have enough to buy all the shop keyword traffic, right? You don't want to play small. You want to uncap your bids, you want to uncap your budgets, and you want to make sure you're winning on those keywords with AdRank. But if those keywords don't have a ton of search volume, you can easily add the browse stuff in because you want the volume and you can test it. Just be diligent in pausing it if it doesn't work and there's no risk in it. It's only risky if you're trying to run the browse on a limited budget, which is a short tail keyword, but you only have enough money. And then you're, for example, on our other keyword list like this one, let me see if I can find one. Okay, so like on this one, let's go to one that really is there. So if I put skinny jeans in, that's going to be really good for me. But if I don't have enough money to pay for all those searches, it's going to not allow me to show up on even higher converting keywords, maybe like skinny jeans for women. And then if we go up even one more step, I hope I have something here. I don't. But if we go into here, we had a browse keyword for this one, which was women's jeans, jeans for women. Now, boy, I mean, it's got about half I don't know, like 500,000 searches a month, jeans for women. If I hit that keyword first on a low budget, I'm not going to get any of my skinny keywords and any visibility, because the algorithm is designed to spend the money as fast as possible. It's an algorithm. So it's going to go out there and say, ooh, what keywords have impressions? What keywords have spend? Which keywords can I put this on? It's going to take those low-hanging fruit first, like the women's jeans, and not give you any visibility in shop. So as long as you have a limited volume in shop, you're fine to put some browse keywords in there. So it's really going to be about your budget. And if it is a limited volume kind of search, then you're not going to have any trouble with doing that.
Great. Next, I think we've got a couple questions coming in about negative keywords. So can we move on to that topic just for a second? Does that work for you, Cherie?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. So it says, my product competes with big brands. Should I include their brand names as negatives in my ad campaigns to filter out searches that are specific for their brands? And if yes, does it compromise the competitor ad group inside my campaign?
That's a really good question. One more time. I want to make sure I got all the details on that.
Yep. My product competes with big brands. Should I include their brand names as negatives in my ad campaigns to filter out searches that are specific for their brands? If yes, does this compromise the competitor ad group inside my campaign?
Okay, it's a questionable thing there. So you're going to have to take some of that market share from those brands. But if you think it's going to be too expensive, or it's definitely those brands aren't converting for you, it depends if they're converting for you. But if they're not converting for you, I would say your strategy would be slightly different. You wouldn't use your negatives at the campaign level. You would do just what you're saying. You would keep your kind of primary negatives, you go at the ad group level, and then you would use those brands. But that's questionable. If you're going to bid, okay, here you go. If you're going to bid on those brands in your competitor campaigns, then you don't want to filter them at all, because you want to show the algorithm you want to be everywhere in the category. So you're not going to filter the brands if you're trying to bid on them. But if there's specific brands that you know don't sell for you, then you would go ahead and put those in at the campaign level, because you're not going to try to place on those pages. They don't work. Or you can switch your negative strategy to an ad group level negative strategy, and then you can go ahead and put just the negatives on all your big category keywords, right? The browse and shop stuff on those brands. But I still don't think that you'd want to be bidding on the brands in one group and then negativing them out of the other groups. You could do that, but the whole theory is if those brands don't convert for you, you shouldn't have those keywords anywhere in your campaign. Normally, for me, I think if something doesn't convert, you should just keep it as a negative at a campaign level. But if you're bidding on those keywords and you want to rank on those pages, I'm going to suggest you don't use them as negatives anywhere, especially the category keywords. But if you're not bidding on them, you should use them as negatives, if that makes sense. I don't know that you want to bid on them and negative of them.
Okay, and we've got somebody talking about negative phrase match. Okay, let's see here. What to do if we were taught, oh, this is kind of phrased a little bit strange. Hold on just a second.
All right, I kind of saw that too.
Yeah. What do we do if we were taught to always have negative exact match at the ad group level instead of negative phrase match? How do they fix this? It seems like they're a little confused with negative exact versus negative phrase. They were taught that the exact would never work and it would cost money.
Well, once again, I don't use negative exact match. So I would take those out of there, and I would find the single words within those keyword phrases that were causing my problems. You know what I mean? Like if I'm looking at, say I'm back here to skinny jeans. Okay, so I'm looking at skinny jeans and my jeans aren't ripped, I would have a negative ripped. And my jeans aren't black, I would have a negative phrase black. I'm not going to put negative exact skinny jeans anything anywhere in my campaigns. It's because I want the impressions, and I'm not trying to filter my traffic as aggressively as some people do. I mean, you can run to the piggy bank, with your ACoS numbers, but that's not going to get you money on Amazon. Amazon's a winner take all strategy. It's e-commerce. So, it's just not that granular. So do I do it? No, but can you do it? Absolutely. If someone's taught you to do that and you're having good results, you should continue moving forward with that strategy, because no one knows everything, and everybody has different products, different strategies, different approaches. And of course, it's going to be fine if you want to use negative exact match. It's not going to hurt anything. If anything, it'll just lower your impressions slightly. It's definitely not going to damage the campaigns or the performance. It's just going to possibly reduce some impressions, possibly not. But if you want to change those out, then you need to remove all the exact match, delete those, and then you need to add them back single word as phrase. So every one of those keywords you put as a negative exact, you need to pull them out, put them in a list, and then filter out the words in those phrases that actually matter. So again, if you were using like negative exact match skinny jeans for a skinny jeans campaign, I would never do that. I don't know, I would just delete it. But if you were using like negative ripped skinny jeans, I would delete that word and then I would come back and put ripped in as a phrase. So I would delete the full exact match and then I would take the word ripped, single word phrase. That's how I would optimize it. If you handed me a campaign and had me optimize the negatives, that's what I would do. But again, strategies work so many different ways. And I always love it when there's so many mavericks out here in the space right now doing great ad work, you know, and I love it when someone can show me something new that I haven't seen before. And I love to test stuff, and every strategy I have is just from testing. So the one thing you got to remember with advertising is you got to be super open-minded. You got to be so open-minded, it's not even funny, because you don't know anything and you don't know what the engineers are doing inside Amazon, and you don't know what the market's going to like, and you don't know what's going to be trendy in the fashion magazines tomorrow. You certainly don't know what's going to happen coming out of Levi Strauss headquarters or your competitors. So many things we don't know. So I would just stay open-minded and I would test. I can tell you every strategy I use today is from testing. And I can tell you that they change all the time, you know, based on what's working in the market. The fundamentals never change. You know what I mean? Like best practices, you got to use negatives on some level. But you should be testing. If you like your exact match negatives, stick with it. If you don't, turn them into singles.
Great. And I think that answered a couple other questions that somebody had asked about. They were getting a little specific with their product, but they were talking about, sorry about that.
The one thing you need to be clear in the class, everybody, I'm so happy to have everyone here. Hello, everyone. I can see all of you. It's so exciting. I would say the one thing you should be clear about in the class, I'm going to tell you this right now. If you post your product details into a question, we're not going to be able to keep those quiet because it's impossible to answer the question out loud without talking about what you put in there. So we love to kind of, you know, be covert and play spy on the questions with the crowd. But unfortunately, we probably, if you put a question about your product, if you really want an answer, we have to talk about your product. You know what I mean? Because how else are we going to answer it? So I think we're not opposed to doing that. But when you post a question about your product, be sure that it's okay, everyone can hear about my product and how you're going to strategize this. And then it might be valuable to the group to hear a specific product and a specific strategy, and I'm open to doing it. Just know that if you put any details about your product, we're going to have to read it.
Definitely. Okay, so I've got somebody coming in with a scenario here, and I'm kind of trying to pick off the top too. Don't worry, we haven't gotten any questions buried. I've got the whole list right here. Just kind of going back and forth here.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we've got somebody, this is their scenario. We've been trying to bid for rank for about a week. The bid is getting really high, especially in comparison to the suggested bid range. They're still not even ranking on page 1 for their sponsored ads. Do you think there's a problem with their bid, their daily budget? Is it a problem with relevancy in terms of sales history, keywords? What do you think might be the issue, Sheree?
That's a lot of questions, right? There's a lot of issues that could come up out of that.
Right.
So you're not ranking and you've upped your bid. It will be it'll far exceed the range. It shouldn't exceed the high range too terribly much, but sometimes it will. My suggestion would be to move into the tail a little bit. So I'm just going to give you an example here. So say you started on a keyword you're trying to rank on, like skinny jeans. I might go skinny jeans for women or skinny jeans women. I might try to go a little more mid-tail, a little more targeted on my keywords and see if I can rank for those. You might just be in a really juicy keyword with a lot of competition and maybe you don't have enough history to take it yet. So the only way to win it is going to be through maybe mid-tail keywords, like go down a few tiers. And then also, you know, as you start to mine your search term report, it's going to start to gain velocity organically over time. Your 30, 60, 90 days is going to look nothing like what you have now. So my suggestion is to mine the search term report over time. If you need to be ranking on some stuff now, I would be going deeper in the funnel and getting keywords that maybe aren't as competitive as what you're trying to rank on. That would be my only suggestion there. But when you get to a certain bidding threshold, at some point it will always cross. I mean, at some point you will rank, but you're probably coming up against something there that you have competitors that are well positioned well advertised with good bids, that's going to happen. And I would try to tear down my keyword strategy and see if I could take it that way. And then if at the end of the day your product still can't rank on those keywords, you should go into like a phase 2. I'm going to show you guys this too. You should go into a phase 2 strategy and maybe focus a little bit on competitors, really a phase 3. But if you can't get those keywords, you may have to get some of that traffic off the competitors' pages. You're going to have to build the history to get back and win that. My first choice would be to get some more targeted keywords in there and try that. Second choice would be to try to do some competitor targeting and see if you can scoop up the traffic off the competitors' pages that are ranking. But definitely try to tone down the keywords. You may be going after something too aggressive that is too broad for your product, and maybe you can't quite get in there and carve it out.
Awesome. And Christine, there are no dumb questions. She says this may be a very dumb question. There are no dumb questions. You guys ask us whatever you wish. So she's wondering, for the max CPA, why aren't any of the Amazon fees per sale included in that formula?
Oh, they are. Christine, all your costs are included in that. So if for some reason that didn't come through clear in the guide, without question, your cost of goods sold, I apologize, if you're taking a traditional cost of goods sold and saying, what did those goods cost me landed? I mean all costs included, not just the cost of goods. I mean cost of goods on Amazon encompasses fees, right? If you want to look at it that way. But if you want to be more structured from an accounting standpoint, right, you'd have the fees separate. But when I say cost of goods, I mean it in a very broad way, but I mean every single Amazon fee included from your back office, right? Like every single fee that it costs, everything to get the product to you and landed, everything to get it to Amazon, everything they charge percentage-wise, every single fee for that product comes off the top, and then you end up with a final number that you could pay CPA. What you could pay to acquire a customer on Amazon is after all those fees. So yes, I apologize if that was at all misleading. When I say cost of goods, I do mean to please include Amazon fees, everything in that formula. And that is such a good question. No question about money is ever stupid.
Right, definitely. Okay, so this one says, Cherie, I have a product that has never sold well. Is it worth applying your technique, or is your technique only for products that are selling well?
Only products that are selling well. If you have products that haven't sold well, that's problematic. I mean, you should look at that unit session, because we go back to these problems. Like I can show you right here. This is one campaign. These are my search term reports for the last 60 days on one of my accounts. Let's have a look, because we just pulled them and did them. Okay, if you're looking at this, okay, look at this. Like when I talk to you about advertising problems and obstacles, my average CPC, look how good that looks. But look at my conversion rates. This whole campaign is powered by conversion. And guys like Rob out here that are super savvy in search, boy, look at those conversion rates. Are you with me on that? Whether you can hear Melissa's audio, you can see those conversion rates, right? Fire. So Amazon conversion rates are where the gold is at. I mean, that's what got me interested. When I started doing Amazon in 2016, pivoting from Google and some massive retainer accounts in competitive spaces like finance and supplements, where I was just cleaning house and getting paid. And when I turned to go to Amazon, because I wanted to go in that direction of e-commerce, I thought it was the future and I wanted to grab it then. Boy, I didn't find this platform exceptionally interesting until I saw these conversion rates. When I first built my first campaigns, I was like, I don't know, what do I think about this? But boy, those conversion rates, they sold me. They keep me glued to this platform. That is a nuts kind of conversion rate. When you're click to sale converting at 3 clicks, look at that click to sale ratio. Any of you guys that have run Google traffic, you know what I'm talking about. Click to sale ratio. Normally I'm converting 3% on other channels. I'm converting every 3 clicks, every 4 clicks, every 4 clicks, every 3 clicks. That's magic, right? So as I go in here, I'm probably averaging like a 4 on this. Every 4 clicks, I'm getting a sale. So conversion rate's really the gold. So if you have a product that can't deliver on the conversion or deliver on the cost per click, it's not really worth advertising, because advertising is completely balanced by those two things. There's no other game. The only way to win is to have a good CPC and a good conversion rate. Those things come together, and that's how you win the game. So if you have a product that doesn't sell, you would not secure a good CPC, because your competitors are going to outperform you. They're going to have better sales data and probably better history on the pages overall, like reviews and relationships and response times, like all these things come into play, but sales is huge for ads. You know, if you're just looking at advertising, it's sales. So ads are going to come into play here in sales world, and you're going to pay based on your sales and your performance, right? Your history, and then conversions, how you make your money. So if you can't get those metrics working for you on a product, then they're not, advertising isn't a good fit, because you can't get it at the right price and you can't get it at the right scale. You need both of these pieces to make it work. So we go down here to the same search term report and the stuff I cleaned out. As you can see, my good performing stuff, 500 orders, 300 orders, 281 orders, all that stuff is jamming, right? But like I showed you guys on Tuesday, look at all these cruddy, like small order stuff I'm testing, right? I got 2 orders, I got 13 on one, but look at those ACoS, but then look at my conversion rates. You know, you just can't make it, you know, and then because of my conversion rates, look at my CPCs. It's just not, it's not even, it's the same strategy, it's the same layout, but because my CPC and my conversion rates aren't working for me, I can't do anything with it. This is just duds, you know? So if the product isn't selling, advertising isn't going to be any fun for you, because it's only fun when you can win on these metrics right here.
Awesome. And because you have that up, I want to ask you another question in regards to the search term report. We had somebody that wanted some clarification because we do a little bit of formatting with them. This is obviously not a completely raw report. So we had somebody ask, your STR shows conversion rate as one of the columns, but when they pull it, it says 7-day conversion rate. That's the same thing when they run a 60-day report, correct?
Yeah, there's different conversion rate columns. Yeah, so you're going to be looking at your conversion rate, and we just change it to conversion rate.
Yep, so that would be the same thing. So just to clarify that. And let's see here, going through some other questions. Let's see. Oh, this is probably a good one. I've seen some CPCs a lot higher than my bid. $2 bid versus charge $7. Do you know why that would happen?
I don't, and it would mean that something's not selling right to get you that lower CPC. To win it, you got to get those sales, because it's a formula, right? AdRank is a formula, and it's a formula within the algorithm that's going to calculate your sales against your competitors' bids, against your bid. You should never be coming up above your max CPC. That's just strange and probably an error. But if you see that your bids aren't having this, like, for example, I'm bidding, I'm bidding $6 probably on this keyword, $6.48. So if I'm bidding $6.48 and I'm paying $2.18, $1.36. I mean, I notice in my accounts it's a 3x ratio. So normally if I'm trying to calculate where I bid to where I'll pay, it's usually 3x, if not lower. So say I have a $2 CPC, I can bid $6 to get that. So if you're not seeing those kind of ratios, it's just that the conversion rate's not doing it for you. You probably need to tier down your keywords. Going back to this strategy, it's all about relevance then. So you may need to retarget your keywords to get a little deeper in the funnel, pick those keywords that exactly describe the features and benefits of your product, and see if you can get those to work first. Then you can start to move up the funnel.
Great. And Carolina wanted us to clarify that. So she says, what if we had a 30 to 100% conversion rate when we weren't advertising, but once we started running ads, it goes down to 0 to 20%?
Well, you're driving a lot more traffic, and I would just be concerned what kind of ads you're running and how targeted they are. Because you're getting, I mean, and also how many clicks, how many, sessions to those pages. You need a lot of data. And that was the one thing when someone asked us about the search term report. We'll go into specifics next week. But with the search term report, I always try to look at as much data as I can, right? As long as I, as stretched out as I can. So to be more conclusive, and I think if you're looking at that, I would be curious what kind of keywords and, how many sessions and how much traffic did you have at 30 to 100%? Did you have a lot of traffic? Because when I start looking at traffic, guys, I like traffic, right? So I like scale. So I like to see numbers, right? So how much did you have going on in those campaigns? What kind of targeting to go from like a 30 to 100%? No one's going to convert at 100% over time anywhere. That's just not possible. That would mean 100% of people saw your stuff, bought it. So normally when I see a conversion rate in 100% range, it's probably because there hasn't been enough traffic to bring it down yet in the normal world, right? So like conversion rates, you know, if you can get 25% of shoppers to buy, that's good. If you're in the 100 range, you don't have enough clicks for conclusive data because 100% is just too early in the game to see. So I would be looking at how many clicks you had, how many, you know, sessions you had, and then more importantly, what was the targeting on that advertising, because it shouldn't drop. Bottom line, it shouldn't drop. Your ads should just drive relevant keywords, should just drive the same sales velocity normal stuff is doing organically, but just double it down. So if the right keywords are in there, you really should not be coming into 0% ever, but 20% is a lot more reasonable. If you were ever at 100, that just means you didn't have enough traffic. When you start to get a lot of traffic, and it's cold traffic, right? You're getting in front of new buyers like clockwork. Cold traffic's going to convert a little lower. So you should be seeing something in the 20 to 30% range, 20 to 30% on the conversion if you're on the first page ranked well, top of search. If you're not ranked top of search, you're not going to see 20% conversions. But if you're on the first page ranked top of search, you should see anywhere from 20 to 30% on your conversion rate. If you're getting anything higher than that, it's just not enough data yet. I mean, these are like 1,800 clicks, 1,200 clicks, 669 clicks. I've got 47,000 impressions. You know, like you want some pretty steep numbers to really see if it's working or not.
Awesome. Let's see here. Going through. Let's see here. Somebody wants to know if we're going. Oh, let's see here. We already answered that one. Do you suggest having an ad group for misspellings or typos? Would you consider that to be phase 1, 2, or 3?
I consider it phase nothing. I feel like if you're doing, going back into this, I mean, I feel like you're mining your search term report. You're doing some broad and phrase match, because if you aren't, you're not doing any keyword discovery, and that's a huge mistake, right? So search term reports are made, right? They don't just happen organically. Good search term reports are created, they're crafted, they're carved out. So you're putting in some good broad and phrase stuff, so it's going to match up and give you search terms like this. And then if it shows you in the search term report that it's a match, that's a misspelling, if you're doing broad match, Amazon's going to pick it up. Amazon's no dummy. It's going to match it just fine. But if you get in your search term report and you see, hey, okay, this particular misspelling, which you will see, or this particular search term off this keyword is a misspelling or a variation that I didn't have, load it up as exact match into your scale group without question. Do it. Do it as broad and exact if you want. But at the end of the day, like, you don't want to go guessing on how people are going to misspell your words and try to put those in. I mean, you can, but it's just such granular traffic. If you do a broad match, Amazon's going to match it fine. If you want to add those into your strategy, I don't do them as a separate ad group, that's for sure. But because it's not Google. They don't scoop up the kind of traffic. It's not text-based. So, you know, for me, misspellings come out of my search term report, and they come out of, you know, good research. If I see them right out the gate, I'll grab them. But they really need to come out of the search term report. I wouldn't worry about those. If you add them, you can just add them where you see fit. Probably in scale, and I like make sure they were selling before I add them.
Okay. I've got somebody with a comment or a question about what we were just talking about. They're asking, can you please drill down on the previous comment, run with the best-selling child ASIN? Looks like he's got a strong winner out front for a child ASIN. It's got double the sales volume of all the others, but it's got a 30% ACOS. He's got several child variations that sell less, but they run an ACOS between 11% and 20%.
Can you break even at 30%? If you break even at 30%, run it. You know, you're not trying to make money on the ads, you're trying to get velocity. So if you could break even at 30, run the one that gets the most sales. That seems really weird though, that the other ones get better ACOS. I'm not really understanding that. Like, if they're getting better ACOS, that would mean they were converting better. You just look at the numbers, right? If you have a strong winner that gets double the sales volume, but the others get better ACOS, that would be puzzling to me. I'm not sure that I would understand that one, why that would happen. But I would still take the one that could do the most sales for you at a break even.
Okay,
if you
great.
Want to average them, I mean, you know, Rob, you could have a special kind of setup there. Everyone's stuff's different, right? Every product's different. You could have a special setup there where maybe you need to rotate 3 child ASINs in one group because they all perform. And then they'll balance out the ACOS. But just make sure you put a lot of money on that winner. But maybe you do have ASINs that all perform. You know what I mean?
Awesome. Okay, so next question. What do you do with a keyword that has a good click to sale ratio and ACoS, but a bad CTR?
So ratio and ACoS, bad CTR. Oh, if you run it. I mean, if it's got, I mean, what else can you do there? It's fine. I mean, the CTR it could be a general keyword people are clicking. Maybe CTR is funny on Amazon. Where are your ads showing up at? Are you getting a lot of impressions and other placements versus search? There's a lot of variables there. If you're getting good numbers and it's selling, don't worry as much because CTR should vary a little bit. I have a ton of variance in my CTRs, as you can see over here. In my CTR column, there's variance all over the place. You know what I mean? You got a brand versus category versus competitor. They're going to have different CTRs. And if I come up here, I do like to do this though. So let's look. If I look at the way these ad groups are segmented, remember I just have the one keyword. If the keyword column says one, those are my single ad groups I'm always telling you guys to get into. Yeah, so if you're getting like one keyword, you know, those should get nice CTRs. Can you see that data? So my scale group gets a lot of long tail. It gets a lot broader. My competitors are always going to have a weaker CTR because, well, they're competitors. My second one with 381 keywords here is a competitor group. If I go down beyond that, my singles have nice CTRs, right? Solid numbers, 3%, 2.5%, 4%. So single ad groups is a great way to solve CTR problems. But I think if you have it in the scale group, I wouldn't worry as much about your CTR. If it's clicking and selling and converting for you, and it'll still work out. Some keywords just, you know, may have a lower click-through rate. That's going to vary by category too.
Okay, let's see here. I had somebody asking about auto campaigns. I wanted to find that one. You guys are giving us some great questions. Great questions for sure.
I did back Carolina. If you guys can't see this, but Carolina pointed out that product where she had that drop only had 10 sessions. So she's, yeah. So if you kind of come over here to the clicks area, Carolina, in this view, you can see how many clicks I'm getting. 10 is still pretty new. You might actually get something crazy like 100% on 10 clicks, but you probably won't see 100% on more than 100 clicks, you know?
Okay. Should we pause auto campaigns after a while, or do you just usually just let them run, Cherie?
I love auto. I have auto here. Like if I'm in the ad groups, I have auto and I run auto on each of my products. So if I have a product manual, I have a product auto, and I try my best to get those optimized with negative keywords, lower bids, products that, you know, autos are the one place you don't have to worry about your performance data because Amazon's kind of selling you remnant traffic. So you just want to scoop up any impressions and views it's going to give you. Plus, auto is really good for other placements, right? That's how you win other placements on the product pages. So I really dig auto campaigns, and I really kind of fight for them when I can. Unless I have a super tight ACoS goal, it won't work. But I really like auto, and I would run each product in a manual, each product in an auto, and I try to make both work.
Okay, we've got somebody asking. I'm going to pull this one right off the top and pull it over here so we can get the whole question because it looks like it's a little bit long. Okay, approximately how long does it take to gain traction or higher conversion rates when launching a new product? So they launched about 2 weeks ago, and they're wondering if they should be concerned. They've only had about 5 sales so far.
Yeah, I never know. Every category is different. Every market's different. Oh, you'll need some time though. You're pushing through a pretty big marketplace. I would think new products, and this is more for a seller than an advertiser. I'm an advertiser, but I would think new products need some time to pick up speed for sure. And you definitely want to see that kind of take place. It depends on how competitive the category is.
Definitely. A lot of that has to do with what your product is and what the market's doing and everything. So everybody's product is definitely different. Going back to auto campaigns, do you use uncapped bids or do you max your bid?
That is such an awesome question. Do not use a high bid in auto. Auto is remnant traffic. Let's go back up there. Here it is. There's my auto against manual stats, guys, just over like the last 60 days or something. If you see these stats, this is one campaign. If you look at that, boy, your auto, the average CPC is significantly lower. You see what I'm paying there? It's definitely lower. So I'm bidding low in auto. Auto is remnant traffic. It is not targeted traffic. I have not put my keywords in. I'm literally saying to Amazon, hey, show my ads wherever you think is fit. Which is super scary. You know, anytime the algorithm goes to do that, they're trying to spend your money. So it's like you have this balance of like, okay, show my ads, but don't waste my money. It's a little bit too much control to give the algorithm, but I like it when it works. So no, low bids and auto, you just start ticking it up only as low as you need to. So I might like start at like 98 cents and see what I can get. And then I'll move up to like $1.02 and then like $1.12. Like I start to really tick up slowly in my auto campaigns on the bid, because it is definitely remnant traffic and I'm not having any control over the targeting. I use a lot of negatives, single phrase match negatives in my auto, like a mad amount of negatives, and I use low bids. And you can see my CPCs, they're about half what I pay in manual, and I like to keep them that way. Auto is hard to back out profitably, so no uncapped bids, no crazy bidding. You're literally saying, okay, if I pay you $1 a click, will you give me some traffic? You know what I mean? It's got to be cheap.
Perfect. And that's how you calculate your auto bidding. So hopefully that also answers that question for Fanor.
Doesn't matter what the product is in auto, I start like in the 90-cent range. Sometimes I'll start in the 80-cent range if I think I can get away with it. You can look at that suggested bid range. I would never start at the high end. Say the suggested bid tells me I got to go from 62 to 180. I'm going to go at 78. You know what I mean? I'm going to stay low. So again, I'm normally, if I'm just kind of winging it, I like to start in the 90s and then get up into the low dollar range. But I try to keep my auto bids pretty low.
Awesome. Okay, so I've got a question from, I'm going back in the stack here a little bit just to make sure that nobody's getting left behind. This person says, I've got more than 15 products that have the same seed keywords. They're not parent-child products. There's not a relationship between them. They are different products. The search volume's low, and the long-tail keywords have low volume as well. Would you separate the campaigns for the separate products, even though they're using the same keywords?
No. Let me go back to that with you. That's a good question, Melissa. Give me one more minute on that one.
Yeah.
Because I have people mentioning some other stuff about auto bids. So we talked about the auto bids. Such great questions. And anyway, so yeah, I just think it's super important that we talk about, just keeping those bids low key and other auto strategies. But go ahead one more time and read that back to me. She had a pretty complex question.
Yeah, she did. Okay, it says, I have more than 15 products with the exact same seed keywords. They are not parent-child products. There's not a parent-child relationship between them. Search volume is low. It's about 30,000. The longer tail keywords also have low volume, about 2,000. Would you separate those campaigns for separate products using the same keywords, the same seed keywords?
I mean, you can, but it's tricky. I mean, I don't know that it's going to be so fantastic. I mean, you're not going to get first page position on the same keywords across the same account, at least not today. You could have a couple years ago, for sure. I used that trick a lot in the early days. You can't really do that today. So, you're probably only going to get visibility on the same keywords for one ASIN anyway at a way where you could scale. If the search volume is only 30,000, though, you have no fears there. It's probably still okay. I'd still want to win on the best-selling ASIN and then scale from there. I still wouldn't be double dipping my keywords across all sorts of ASINs, the same keywords in multiple campaigns. I wouldn't do that. I would take one to the races. I would pick the one in the business center that had those sessions and those unit percentages, and I'd be going to the races with it. If you want to take those same keywords across multiple products, you can. It's not really effective. You won't get what you want out of it, which means you're not going to ever get all 15 variations to get the same traction in the ad platform. You're not going to get visibility out of all of them. The algorithm is only going to show one above search. So I don't know the benefit in doing it. So no, I personally wouldn't do that, but you'll have to kind of make your own call there.
Awesome. And back to that question you saw about the auto campaigns. It says, for auto campaigns, do you negative out the keywords that are in your manual campaigns?
That's a really good question. Okay, yeah, and I wanted to talk about Caroline and auto and budget. So Caroline, when you talked about budget earlier and everybody else on the call, we should talk about this. We talk about our tiered strategy, right? I do everything in tiers. Even I have clients that have unlimited budget. We still go in tiers. If you're going in tiers, like this is kind of your focus, right? And these tiers aren't just because of budget. They're just about what you can realistically tackle and win. Right? It's no use to play a broad game and not win. Like the goal is win, right? So you've got to win in sequence, and you can only focus so much time, energy, and money to a winning game plan. So I kind of like to tier it out, just one for my focus level and two for what I'm trying to accomplish. So when we go back to the strategy, Caroline, don't be putting your autos ahead of these, right? So autos comes right in here to like the ad group 3 range, right? If you have a limited budget. If you don't have a limited budget, you can pop the auto campaign right out the gate. You know what I mean? If you've got all budget, you want all views, you just want to take the market, you got ad money, you're ready to invest, not a problem. Day one, I plug in manual and auto. Now, if I'm on a budget though, or I'm trying to use my dollars wisely to make me money, my auto campaign goes into the competitor category of phase 3. So only will I invest in auto if I have a budget after I have done my brand, my shop, my browse. I've won my category keywords and my brand keywords. That's phase 1. And then I come in off the search term report and I start to kind of carve out the long tail and the real focus terms that are driving my history and my performance after I've started to win on my singles that matter, winning in scale, taking stuff down to buy that doesn't work. After I've kind of won the scale and the singles and I'm getting rank, first page rank on those and paying for it successfully and profitably, only then on a limited budget would I go roll into an auto campaign and a competitor campaign. So if you were to sit down with me and say, hey, can you do my campaigns? I am an absolute stickler about budget. Like if you're working with me, I am like, you cannot take my budget for anything. You cannot misspend my budget. You cannot reallot my budget. I need money to win the market. And that money is super important. It's a big investment. So if you and I were talking on a budget and you sat down with me, I would say, man, don't you dare put my keyword, category keywords and stuff ahead of this auto stuff where we're going to let the algorithm just kind of wing it for us. I want my strategy rolled out and won first, and then I'm willing to put some money on auto if you have it. Now, if you were to say to me, oh, no, you have all the money you want, do whatever you want, I would say, oh, okay, I'll put some money on both manual and auto and use the auto for visibility and impressions and use my manual to win. But again, you're going to win on manual. So don't, if you're on a budget, don't put auto ahead of manual. Shut those autos down and get those good keywords like we've researched here. Get those good keywords built into your campaigns so that you can start to really win some market share and get some good sales history. So that was my thing on that auto question. There was one more we had there in auto that I really want to cover because it's important. I love strategy, guys, and just like all things in business, it's a financial strategy too, right? Like we don't have unlimited resources. We don't have unlimited time. We don't have unlimited money. None of us do, man. Business is tough. So you got to use those resources wisely. So where's the next auto? Negative. Okay. I do not, info 504, I do not negative out my manual keywords in my auto, but I am more aggressive with manuals and auto, which means, for example, so you run your auto search term reports every 30 days, we separate ours. We have one tab for manual, one tab for auto. When I see auto keywords that are related to my product but not targeting my competitors, I'll negative those. So the best example I could say of that is, okay, say I'm trying to get some ranking on coffee and I see a negative, I see a keyword come through my auto campaigns that it's showing up on like coffee pots. Well, sure, that's really interesting and that's great. And it might get me a few sales here and there, but say my fourth keyword is like a competitor, like Starbucks. Boy, I want that competitor traffic. So I'm going to take those impressions off the table for the coffee pot, put negative pot and say negative filter. Don't show me on these kind of related things to coffee. I want to be on competitors' pages. I want to take market. So sometimes in my auto, I get a little more aggressive and make the algorithm kind of work for me to give me the right targeting. So I'm more aggressive with negatives in auto. Still single phrase. I still don't get crazy putting in exact matches or anything, but I do put in a lot more singles in my autos to kind of focus my energy back to those competitive pages in my category. But yes, I do use negatives. So normally when I'm starting a new campaign that I've never tested, I'm going to put the same negative list. I have a really good example in this download on my desktop. I'm going to put a really good negative list in first. I'm going to put that negative list in both manual and auto, single phrase. And then as I start to scale and take my search term reports, I'm going to be always adding new negatives, and I might be slightly more aggressive on auto.
And then Fanor just asked another question in regards to auto campaigns. Is it better to run them with only one product like manual?
Yes, because you just got to get the performance. You want those low CPCs, right? You want those cost per click to be down there like that. Where's that at? just, I think if you start, you could rotate a lot of ASINs in your auto. It's not the end of the world, but once again, it depends if it's a parent-child ASIN. If it's going to be a parent-child ASIN, then just take it to the best child. It's all going to the same page. They're going to see all your products anyway.
Awesome. Okay, so going back into the pile, if you've got all that auto covered that you want to cover, Cherie.
I think I've covered auto in detail. I think it's important because a lot of people get that information. They should be testing an auto to discover their keywords versus finding their keywords.
Definitely.
Competitive analysis and betting on them wisely, So yeah, auto is definitely a secondary strategy.
Awesome. Okay, so when creating a brand ad group campaign, is it a good idea to add all the products in your listing with the brand keyword?
All the products in your listing. No, I think the brand keyword goes to the same thing. Like whatever product your shoppers tend to buy the most of, whatever's your best selling product, that's going to be where your main brand keywords go, right? But we're going to segment those too, right? So let's go here. So each of your campaigns, as you've seen in my structure, has their own brand ad group, right? So, okay. Each of my keywords has their own brand ad group. Each of my campaigns, I apologize. Each of my campaigns are going to have a brand ad group. In my best selling product, that's the only ad group I'm going to place my main brand seeds, just so that those really show up, especially, but at the same time, there's no damage done to just putting your main brand keywords in all your campaigns. I mean, that's not going to hurt anything. If I'm trying to really be competitive, I'll focus on a really best-selling product so I can kind of take more sales. But there's nothing wrong with having brand keywords in every campaign. And you can do it that way, and it's a great, great layout, right? Every campaign has a brand group. All mine do. If you want to kind of filter what they see on the brand group, then you can kind of partner up those keyword combinations. So it's like your product plus your brand, your product variation plus your brand, where you get a little more specific on the brand keywords. But it's you could do it either way. You could do the same brand keywords in all campaigns for all products and just have it be your main brand. But just keep in mind that when you do the search term report and you get product specific brand queries, you got to load those into the right product. So say you're running your brand keywords, you got them in 5 campaigns, 5 products, different keywords, and all of a sudden you're seeing, oh, okay, in the search term report, they put in my brand plus, beard oil. And they put, oh, in the search term report, they put my brand plus beard kit. You want to segment those into the appropriate product, so without question, you pay attention to the search term reports on your brand keywords as well. And you always mine those back out as exact and broad match back into your brand groups. So, you can focus on just the best selling product. If I have a big niche, I'll do that. But I also have, campaigns where every campaign has the brand keywords and I let it kind of self-select.
Awesome. Okay, so I've got another question here. One of my products has a 4-star review. What level of increase in regards to CTR conversion and ACOS improvement would I expect to see if it becomes a 4.5?
A lot. You can't say the exact numbers because everything is different, but you will see a marked improvement. Marked. A 4-star review gives you 2 dings. One, it gives you lower conversion rates, but the algorithm also is giving you a lower score. Like your overall quality score is going to be lower with a 4-star conversion rate, without question. So the lower your conversion rate, the lower your quality score, and the lower your quality score, the more you pay CPC.
Okay, this one's kind of long, Cherie, so bear with me for this one. You've mentioned a few times that we are dealing with our existing campaigns, when they're dealing with their existing campaigns, not to rock the boat too much and to keep the campaigns with good running history. So good sales history and all of that. Does that mean that history for a given keyword is stored at the campaign level? In other words, can we move the keywords around between ad groups within a campaign and then they won't lose their history? But if they start from scratch, they will.
Yeah, you can totally take that campaign, pause everything that's not working in it, keep all the keywords that have sales history lifetime that are performing great at your target ACOS or below, keep all that and keep it in there. And you can move it around and restructure it. It's going to work perfectly. Just make sure you download a report so you have a kind of clear game plan before you go in to do it, right? That's another big tip there. Do not try to do like like arching restructure manually, right? You need a report. My suggestion, if you're going to restructure the campaigns, is to pull a bulk download report, not even a search term report. Just go into the bulk download section, do a bulk download on that campaign and then slice and dice from there and then make your changes. Whatever you do, if you're going to do an overview or a big overhaul on a campaign, be sure that you pull that data down. Be sure that you really get that into a sheet and you can look strategically at how you're going to chop it up. But without question, the campaign with the sales history, as long as you get all the dead stuff out of there, stuff that doesn't sell, stuff that it has impressions and no clicks, stuff that has clicks and no sales, you kill all that dead weight. Everything in the campaign that has sales data, lifetime, keep it. You can literally delete everything else. So you can take a lifetime sort, especially if you've been doing this more than 90 days, take a lifetime sort by sales, every keyword in there that doesn't have any sales, it's just not working for you. Get it out of there, clean it out. You can go ahead and restructure, put your keywords into single groups. You can put high volume stuff into scale if it's a little more long tail. You can totally build that structure in an existing campaign fearlessly. And I would do it with a bulk download so you get a really bird's eye view of what's working.
Great. I've got somebody with a question on how they're calculating market share. It looks like they're wondering, they have a competitor that has multiple ASINs within what they're looking at. Do they need to work on a per ASIN basis or a per competitor basis?
You try to just work on a per ASIN. You really want to go, I mean, this is such a broad, like market share is just a broad thing. It's so useful though. You need to know market share for two reasons. One, what kind of sales are you leaving on the table? What is really there? And two, you need to understand how much of that you have right now because you need to capture more, I guarantee it. And then three, if you're selecting a new product, boy, you got to know what the market potential is because you're going to work just as hard. I know people tell you to get into these niches and avoid competition and yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter what you're doing in business. None of it's easy. So you're going to work just as hard for a tiny market as you are a bigger market. I'm telling you that right now, unless you're honestly a genius and you found some true blue ocean, right? Blue ocean's hard to find though. So if you're getting into categories and they already exist, you pick one that you can win a lot of money in. So market share is important for those reasons, but you don't need to get too granular on it. You are looking at it, just go to the BSR, make sure that all 50 best sellers are loaded on the page, pull those ASINs. Know that there's going to be more sales coming out of the childs on those pages, but don't worry about it. Look at what the best sellers are doing. And the same thing with organic search. Make sure you pull the full page of organic stuff, add that in, get rid of the duplicates, and you're going to see the market at a big view, right? You're not going to be, super granular. You're just going to see the big view. And it's going to give you a good idea of what's potential there. I would just look at the best selling products. Now, if you want to look at a competitor singly to see what they're doing across all ASINs on a page, you can go to their page, like I did in the Levi Strauss page here, and you can pull all ASINs down of the different variations and get a view of how those are selling. Like crazy.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm just kind of going through questions.
Rob asked about quality score. When I say quality score, I use it as a broad term. I think all search marketers use it. There is no quality score rating in Amazon, but you do get your own quality score. There's a different word for it, but you get a seller score and you can see that at any given time. Now, in terms of like your sales history, your ad history, your conversions, that's all based on just kind of looking at this data and saying, is it quality, right? Is it quality? Like this is high quality data. This is sending the algorithm a very good signal. And this is low quality data sending the algorithm a bad signal. So on this one, when I use quality, I mean it in a more broad sense. We don't really get a report on that with Amazon yet. Of course, we do with Google, but we don't with Amazon. But I know as a seller, you get all sorts of metrics from Amazon on how your score looks. So I would be looking at that score regular because Amazon lets you know. And I think a 4-star reviews is just low quality. I mean, you got a problem there. I mean, you need 4.5 to 5 stars, 4.5. And so if you have lower than 4 stars in your reviews, that's just a quality issue because we already know that the higher quality reviews are hitting 4.5. So when I say quality, I mean it kind of in a broad kind of way. I don't mean it in a reporting kind of way. But there are some general kind of arching ideas like this is low quality and this is high quality.
All right. And then Patricia in Orlando just kind of popped in and said, if I change the name of the campaign or the ad group, does it change the sales history to the algorithm?
No, not at all. Patricia in Orlando, that's perfect. I change campaign names all the time when I do an audit. So no, you can rename your campaigns. We're going to show you really good campaign naming structure. as we move into session 6. So without question, you're going to rename those campaigns to get them organized so you can be thinking about it. But for sure, you can rename and nothing will happen on that history.
Okay. And we've got somebody who's just got a question about where we're at, on the trail right now. So it says, hello again, team. So hello, everybody. We're so happy to have all of you here and that you're all sticking with us, which is awesome. It says, my question is, for those of us who are just starting and want to follow the steps in the course, where exactly are we in action steps as of right now? It says, I'm confused whether I should be focusing still on competition research or if I should have my own campaign running in Amazon by now. They're so used to with ASM, it tells them action steps after each video. So at this time, she's not sure where she's supposed to be. So can you just kind of elaborate on or clarify, I guess, where they should be at within the steps of where we're at on the trail?
Yeah, and that's such a good question. And unfortunately, this isn't really like ASM, where people start ASM and they're going to be getting their products going all at the same time in some kind of a pace. Everybody in this class is at a different place, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of people in this class, Mavericks, I can see them every day, especially now that I see the admin. There's people starting at all different places here. So unfortunately, the action items are kind of going to be, varied depending on where you're at in the whole cycle of your campaigns. But in terms of where you would be at, this is going to be the wrap of step 1, which is Act 1, which is our research phase. So at this point in the game, you should have competitive research done. You should want to take that competitive research and then go do good keyword research with it. You want to analyze your search term report like this at a very basic level so you understand which keywords are driving sales and get those. You want to be using all the free preview content that brought you to this session to kind of clean up your old stuff, right? Go ahead and be bidding for rank and getting good ad campaign structure before we get into the full structure. You really should, at this point, you want to, no matter where you're at with campaign setup, you shouldn't have campaigns live. We're moving into that, next week. But at the same time, if your campaigns are live, they should be getting cleaned up at this point. You should have good ideas of how to manage them and what really works and doesn't. You should have a better idea of campaign structure. You should definitely be fully aware of who your top competitors are that you're going to be targeting. You're going to be fully aware of who is in the market and who has the most market share right now so you can go tackle it. You should be completely aware of what's going on in your search term reports, and you should have your keyword research done all the way down to the different categories that we covered here. Now, segmenting your keywords, putting the keywords together, putting everything together in a big picture will happen in Act 2. But you should at least kind of be in an idea where you have your keyword list compiled. Let me take you to a list. You should at least have been through the phase of all your main seed keywords, all your competitors' ASINs. You should have a pretty good idea of the whole market and what keywords are driving your market. Melissa, did I lose you?
No, you didn't. I'm still here. I just didn't know if you wanted to go into that any further. I'm right here.
Yeah. And then there's also a couple more PDFs for this act, for the research phase that we've wrapped and are on my desk. I just need to get them over to you, and I'll have, support, send you guys an email when they're out. They'll go into the members area immediately. There's a few reports that are going to kind of step-by-step, so that'll help you walk through those sections without question. Boy, they've taken some time to put together, but we definitely have workflow around that now. And we've really had to, this first 4 weeks has been a big learning curve because I'm taking your stuff as it goes. This again isn't like ASM. This is a brand new. I do advanced advertising. It's almost like, do I want to teach class or do I want to go play in the Super Bowl? I play in the Super Bowl, so it's kind of, I love teaching you guys, but it's new to me, right? I have an ad agency, so we're still looking at your questions and looking at your skill level and trying to say, okay, what do they need? What can I give them? Like my first template didn't work so well, so I'm still learning how to give you guys what you need to learn this. We've definitely learned a lot in the first 4 weeks, a ton, and I appreciate everybody for giving us feedback, good or bad, because I'm no delicate daisy. You could say anything to me, I could care less. And at the end of it, though, it's really helped us. We're trying to redo the training every single week to match your needs better, redo the Q&As, redo the transcripts, redo the guides. We're still learning. I think Act 2 is going to be a lot more streamlined for us because we have a better idea of how far back we need to go to get you guys where you want to go.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I think that's an interesting thing, Lambert, on the SOP, standard operating procedures, like we did it for competitive intelligence, and we'll do a lot more of those in Act Two. But that is standard. The SOPs are definitely a little bit different with advertising because it's more like a thinking skill than it is like a step by step. Some things are step by step, and some of it is, but a lot of it is just really deep thinking and strategic thinking.
Oh, Robert thinks you're doing a great job.
Oh, thanks, Robert. I know. I'm working on it. Boy, we've learned. I've had a learning curve. I mean, if any of you guys have had a moment of frustration, you can know I've had it times 10. Just really looking at your stuff and trying to figure out how to get it to you right.
Caroline always has such great feedback.
Everyone does. You guys are awesome.
You guys are awesome.
You guys are doing great questions. All of you guys are implementing, and that's all that matters because, again, you're going to bridge the knowing doing gap. I learned it by doing it. You're going to learn it by doing it. I'm still learning it by doing it. I'm telling you guys, even though I am an advanced advertiser, I was new to Amazon in 2016, and this platform, it kicked my tail to learn everything I'm showing you. I'm talking no sleep, shower was a luxury, and I'm 15-year search veteran and top of the game, and this still kicks my tail. So you guys are doing awesome by implementing. You can only learn by doing, and we all learn every day because in technology, tech is always changing. Anyone that tells you they've got it figured out should just wake up tomorrow and say that again.
Awesome. So next question. What is your view, Cherie, on using PPC paid tools like Ignite or PPC Scope to help, comparing them to not using any tools, but just doing their own manual review of the Amazon Campaign Manager and search term reports?
Okay, I love the manual stuff because I'm a manual girl. But the thing that has changed in this world, like I'm telling you guys, like we got to always have just the key to winning in business is open mind. There's nothing else more important than having a completely open mind, because if you don't allow yourself to be wrong, then you're never going to get anywhere. So as far as open-mindedness, I've always liked to do it manually, maybe because I'm a bit of a perfectionist or a control freak. But I have to tell you, in the market, my favorite tool, hands down, is Seller Labs. And their tool is so it's just well designed, it's well created. They have an amazing development team, amazing leadership, great PPC guys with strong skills. That is a good company. Seller Labs is solid. And I have resisted tools because I like to do this myself. But I think that there's a place here where I'm going to be looking deeper at tools because it's artificial intelligence today, right? So AI is what drives Amazon itself. So I think AI is incredibly interesting and I want to explore it more. So one of my goals for this quarter is to do more with something like Seller Labs. And then I'll tell you guys how it comes out. And if it makes my job easier, I'm definitely going to share it with you. Right now, I do everything. The results that I showed you, all the results in my campaigns, everything I bring to the table, and I have some killer campaigns. I mean, good enough campaigns that I talked to Amazon in Seattle. I talked to them yesterday. They emailed me today. I have a really good relationship because of my ad campaigns with Amazon. So my campaigns, they're some of the bigger campaigns in the whole category, in the whole division, the whole ad division. So I definitely have some big winners here, and they've all been done by hand. So everything I'm showing you is done by hand. But I'm going to tell you that I feel like I would get left behind if I don't allow artificial intelligence to do some work for me, because I think it's getting so smart. It used to be that software tools were kind of like, oh, it's going to do some sorting and some organizing and some filing. And I think it's all strategic thinking. So I didn't care. I'm like, I don't need someone to organize my campaigns. I'm already an organized thinker. But now it's like AI. It's making decisions and it's seeing things. And so with AI coming into the picture, I'm far more interested in those tools. It depends on how good they are on the AI side. Let's clarify that. If they're just a tool that's doing sorting and organizing, I don't care. I can do it myself. But if it's going to give me artificial intelligence, I think I'll fall behind if I don't learn it. So right now, I'm actually going to do a whole bunch of stuff inside Seller Labs behind the scenes because I feel like I might be missing out by not doing that. So I can't tell you if I recommend it because I need to do more in it. I can tell you everything in this class, everything I've done to this point to take categories as big as, from categories, grocery, health, health, beauty, grocery, home, all those categories I've done here by hand. So when I learn more about those tools, I'll share. The one I'm going to choose is Seller Labs. And that's all I can say about it right now. But I do think AI is the future, and we have to pay attention to that.
Okay. And then still going off, this is another tools question. When you're handling the BSR data from X-Ray, when there are gaps in the data for the high BSR listings, do you give them an estimated revenue based on the BSR, or how do they fill in those holes?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't worry about them if you're just trying to do market share. And again, I don't know why the X-ray tool isn't pulling them all for me. I get a pretty clean pull, as you guys can see here. I think some categories just don't have enough data. Maybe the products are too new or they don't sell enough. I'm not really sure what makes the tool pull it differently. I wouldn't worry about the blanks unless the whole thing is blank and leaving you kind of in the dark. But I think that you're probably cool to just to pull what data it gives you and go from there. But you definitely can sort by, if it gives you orders, that would be especially useful, the number of sales.
Awesome. So let's do a strategy question next, a bidding strategy question.
Okay.
So it's got some details in it. So if you want to get your pen and paper, just so you have everything.
Oh, yeah, I got it. I'm ready here. And thank you, Smiley, for the feedback. Thank you, everybody. Kenny, thank you so much for coming to the training. And Carolina, it's so good to see you. Robert, you guys are really picking it up. Rob, you are super jamming. It's so great. Everybody is really just doing a good job here, asking such good questions. It's just next level.
For sure. So for main keywords that are most relevant to your product, that's what that's the subject that they're working off of. When you decrease your bid slowly until you're profiting, she's decreasing by about 20% at a time. Do you keep doing this until you reach your target ACOS? But when they do this, it takes them out of the number 1 or the top 3 positions, which is going to take away from their organic sales. What do they do in this scenario? It seems like they're trying to break even without going crazy with their ACOS.
Yeah, you got to break even. So if I'm understanding this right, Melissa, they're saying that they have main keywords they're bidding on.
Yep.
And when they push the bid up, they get to a certain threshold and it goes out of ACOS. And if they cap that CPC and start to reduce the CPC, they lose position, but they break even.
That's what I'm kind of seeing from this too. Yep.
Do it. Unfortunately, when it comes to keywords, it's only as good as what it's going to give you. And I'm telling you, if you keep mining your search term reports, you're going to get stuff like this. If you mine your search term reports and you do the right keywords to build a good report, it's going to look like this. So when I'm looking at that data, I'm going to say that if you're doing this, that this is only interesting to me if it looks like this. And that's where you have to just not be like, oh, my precious keyword, because honestly, it's not precious if it doesn't make you money at break even. So if that's happening, you have to take the traffic you could get at the cost that allows you to be even. That way you can continue to move forward and continue to be profitable. So profitability is our number 1 goal. We can't lose money. So if that's happening, unfortunately, you obviously for that particular keyword can't afford with your conversion rate and that market's CPC, totally nothing to do with you. The market CPC has a lot to do with your competitors and what they're paying and what Amazon's doing. So just that equation between the market CPC and your conversion rate isn't matching up. It's not a big deal. I'd let it go. But, there's a second strategy to that can be tested depending on your budget, which is to allow those single keywords, only singles though, with high volume, push them into the number 1 spots as a broad and phrase match, take all the back end search terms it mines, and then shut it down. So we've done that with campaigns in a category they have a lot of money to test. They're not worried about the test budget. We push on the single keywords and get all of our search terms mining and broad and phrase, so that the scale can get some traction, right? I get traction on profitable keywords like these, and then I start to kind of ratchet down the bid on those singles. And that's a really winning strategy. So you kind of have 2 ways to go about it. You can go deeper into the mid-tail, find more targeted keywords and let that one go, no big deal. Or you can spend a little bit over your ACOS to get at the top of search where all the sales are, mine the search terms on the back end, do it for 30, 60 days, and then shut it down. Yeah, David Hines just said he did that and it worked. It does work, right, David? Because you get all these good like mid and long tail phrases that you wouldn't have discovered without those. So like it's worth the investment to run a little hot on the ACOS to get those keywords. And it will work out if you're not so worried about it. If you can afford to invest the money to learn the keywords. I mean, you're just investing in your product to learn which keywords the shopper buys on. It's a good investment in terms of both data and strategy and history with Amazon. But it's got to be a strategy you can pay for comfortably because, it's tough, like you got to really get all your numbers in order. But yeah, it worked huge for David Hines. He's saying that right now. David had really good results with that. So yeah, we use it both ways and it works. It works either way. Either way, you got to, at some point, you got to ratchet that keyword down though, because it's not worth it if it's coming in over target. And when I say ratchet it down, I mean lower the CPC on it.
Okay. Can you confirm that you put multiple keywords in the browse and shop ad groups that you discussed on Tuesday versus just single word ad groups?
Yes, I do. I put multiple keywords in those browse because those are my test beds, right? And I'm always testing new shop variations. I'm always testing new shop variations. So what a shop variation to me just means it's been modified. So if I see a keyword in my search term report, it's like, oh, people are looking for, high-waisted. I'm going to test that. Especially if I have sales data. So I'm always testing multiple keywords, multiple match types in both browse and shop. My shop group tends to be keyword heavy. And my browse is a little lighter because I don't normally go after the general stuff until I've already won everything in the midtail.
Great. Okay. And a couple questions about what we're going to cover soon. You said that we already had data and should be spending about a week analyzing the STR, so the search term report. When are you going to be going over teaching them how to do that thoroughly?
Next week, Tuesday's class.
Awesome.
Tuesday's class, we go into the next. Act 2 is this. We start with our search term reports because that's where all the money is made. We start analyzing the search term report. Then we go into the structure of our campaigns where we go into like a granular detail of how to segment the keywords, how to group your keywords, how to set those match types, how to do uncapped bids versus keyword level bids, how just the intricacies of how campaigns, ad groups, and keywords work together, auto versus manual. That's going to be in the next session, which would be 6. And then in session 7, we're going to cover search in detail, which includes headline search. And I'll be sure to pay extra attention to those other placements that we've been experimenting with and see if I can figure out exactly where they're winning at. But we'll talk about search and we'll talk about headline search. And then the next week, the final week, we're going to talk about placements, like how you target those placement campaigns, how we're going to do a lot more negative research and placements because that's where negatives really come into play. We're going to talk about competitive targeting and just ACOS and how those work. So we're going to cover those 4 sections. So we'll go from search term reports into campaign structure in general, understanding how campaigns work together to get you the right scores. And then we're going to talk about search and placement separately on separate sessions.
Okay. Are you going to cover organic strategy for unaffordable keywords that drive sales?
Organic strategy, unaffordable keywords that drive sales. The back-end search terms are about the only control you have there. Outside of, that's it. There's really nothing you can do. You just have to put those in the back-end search terms, make sure they're in your product listing. Any organic strategy you use, whether it's a viral launch strategy or it's an outside traffic strategy, anything you do to boost organic rank, you want to be incorporating those keywords in. But mostly it's going to be about SEO, right? It's going to be about your back-end search terms, your listing keywords. You're really going to be focused on those organic strategies, which is just really about keywords just in general, how you put them in your listing in the back end. Keywords that are too broad, you can't do much with those in advertising.
Okay. And Gary's asking, are you putting the same keyword and match type in different ad groups?
Yeah, no, I'm not, Gary. So that's a good question. Unless I'm phasing out some old stuff on a new build, if I'm doing everything from scratch, I do not. So skinny jeans phrase, if I'm going back up here, skinny jeans is like my #1 modified, I call skinny a modifier, a modified seed called jeans a seed. So this is my main kind of modified seed keyword. So skinny jeans. I'm going to put skinny jeans in its own ad group as phrase. Then I'm going to put skinny jeans in its own ad group as broad. And that's going to be how it becomes a single. It's not going to go anywhere else. If I'm just kind of testing, if I have no data on skinny jeans at all, right, I'm like, I hope Skinny sells these skinny jeans, which would be weird if it didn't, but let's make sure. Skinny jeans could start in my shop group. You know what I mean? And I would have skinny jeans for women. Skinny jeans for me would be set to both broad and phrase. It's only 2 words, so it has to be a phrase because there's going to be a lot of words put in front of it and behind it, just the nature of search. Skinny jeans would be a phrase. Skinny jeans would be a broad. Skinny jeans would be an exact, just to see where it goes. Skinny jeans for women in my shop group. Skinny jeans for women would be an exact match and a broad match. I wouldn't do skinny jeans for women as a phrase because it's not really a phrase. It's already 4 words. It's already got a stop word, the word for in it. That's like a sentence, right? You don't really need to put that as a phrase. It's not like how many people are going to put words in front of it or behind it, especially on a broad engine like Amazon. Probably not enough that I care. Then I'm going to definitely do that one as exact and broad. Skinny jeans women is very phrase-like to me, so I'm probably going to test that as both phrase and broad. But yeah, all those different match type variations would start out in my shop group. And then as I got data at 30 days, they would get moved around. So skinny jeans would go into, most likely based on my campaign history, skinny jeans would go into a broad and a phrase single. So 2 single ad groups, 1 broad, 1 phrase for skinny jeans solo. I'm almost, like 80% confident that would be my second move on that. But I would need to see the data in the search term report. And if that data looked good and promising, that would be my next step. And then if I move skinny jeans into a single broad phrase, I pause it wherever it's at right now. So yeah, no duplication outside of, so I have duplicate match types, but no duplicate keywords. Like, I have match types on the same keyword, but I have multiple match types, 1 keyword, but no duplicate keyword and match types.
Okay. And Caroline is asking another question that she had asked earlier that we just hadn't gotten to quite yet. So if our campaigns are hardly performing because we lowered the bids to 10 cents as an alternative to pausing them because they were wasting money, oh, there it goes. What should we do with them next week when we start creating campaigns?
Okay, so if our campaigns, 9 for the same product, that's why I'm here. Yeah, you want to get real focused, Caroline. It's like if you've never done it before, I only learned it by doing it, and I've just done it 15 years. Like, I've done this since the early 2000s, since the beta of Google AdWords. This has been my full-time business. Like, and you guys know how many hours business takes. I don't know, some people are lucky. Mine takes me 60 plus hours a week. I've never worked any less. So like, man, I spent 60 hours a week, sometimes more, for 15 years doing just this. It's all I do. So I've learned it over the years because I just do it. But I mean, it's tough at first, like I said, so don't be thinking like if you're here, it's not surprising. There's a lot to learn. But okay, so 9 of the same product, they're hardly performing, and you lowered the bids as an alternative to pausing. I would be questioning, Carolina, if those bids have to be at 10 cents. I mean, from your next week when you learn how to do the search term report, you might find you have more room on those bids. Like, you might have a CPC a lot better than 10 cents. You're not going to get any traffic at 10 cents. You might get higher bids there that are going to work for you. Yeah, that's going to be it. So you definitely, when you build you're going to take your campaign with the highest sales history and you're going to put these new ad groups within it, and you're going to shut other stuff down completely. So Melissa, was there some other piece to that though?
I think she's just wondering, well, it says, so next week our campaigns are going to finally go live. It was her question.
Yeah.
She'll know what to do next week with all that.
I mean, I would say if you really need to learn campaign structure, like you're super new to this, you're going to need to have 5 and 6, because 5, we're going to cover the search term report, but 6 is when we cover the total structure. I mean, I think you should be confident by the end of 6 if you've never built a campaign to build one. And I think that's going to have to get very specific about your existing stuff. But I think that you want to get into the highest sales velocity group and build from there. But yeah, I think you'll end up shutting other stuff down. And I think when you've ratcheted things down to 10-cent bids, you might have a little more room on those bids.
Okay. I have a question about mid-tail keywords on both phrase and broad match. If one performs better than the other, or one comes in at a higher ACoS that you want to pay, is it best to give it 10 to 15 clicks and then pause if needed?
If one is already at a high ACoS, you can already, if the other one's running profitably, I wouldn't go more than 10 clicks to see that. But normally if I start out hot and one is higher than the other, I just keep the one that's working. And normally one variation does work better than the other. I get lucky sometimes when I get both, and I fold mine when I do.
Okay.
And then I was looking at something here. Hold on. There was a question that was throwing me off, and I can see that so Toby and Mindy are doing the same thing as David and doing well, like mining those single keywords. And really, you're asking about the PDF. The second PDFs cover the ones on my desk. One is about competitive keywords. So we talk about how to go and get all those competitors' keywords that you're going to be targeting, and how to do density in detail. That's the one PDF. The second one is keyword research, and that's how you take your keywords and you build them into like the different tools to get the feeds and how to organize them. I cover both of those in detail. And so all your keywords are going to be grouped from Wordtree and previous research. It's going to be all, Julie, it's going to be in the keyword research guide. So let me talk though, if I could give you a quick overview of that here in this class though. Okay, so we're gonna how to group all the keywords from WordTree. Yeah, you're gonna need that guide today, Julie. I promise you I will get it over, and you'll just need to look in the members area if they don't email you. You definitely will be there. You'll need the guide. It's a lot of steps, but you do need that guide. I apologize you don't already have it. I wish I could cover it in a class, but it's like so many steps. I would just lose you guys on the trail.
Okay. Do you want me to just keep going down the list, Cherie, or is there something you found in there that you want to cover?
No, keep going.
Okay, awesome. Let's see here. It says in Tuesday's training, Cherie mentioned that there's no need to double down and advertise on each individual child ASIN, but now it sounds like they're supposed to. Do you want to clarify that for them?
There's no need to double down on each child ASIN. There's none. Pick the best seller and run it. It's all going to the same page. Someone, if you didn't catch that, somebody here on the call today doesn't have a child-parent relationship. So they have the same keywords going to multiple ASINs because they're not all going to the same page. I mean, you got to do that. I mean, you got to get traffic to the pages. If you have a parent-child relationship, one child ASIN will take everybody to the same page and they'll self-select. So that, again, goes back to the strategy. Are you on a separate page or are you on the same page? So that was really what we were saying. I always say double down, go for the best seller.
Okay. How often do you check whether you're winning for rank? This person has about 15 products with 20 keywords each, and things are often changing with their competitors. How do you do this without going crazy? How often do you check for rank?
Once a week, we check for rank. But again, you know, it depends on what you're trying to do there. Like, we check it on our big, we decided the ones that drive the majority of sales, like here in this report, but we do check it. Otherwise, we don't want to lose ground, right? We don't want to let our competitors hold. We don't want to take those position and hold them for any length because they're going to get better sales velocity than us. Half the game is getting the sales velocity. So once I'm in position one, I want to lock and hold because I don't want anyone to take that metric from me. So we're pretty, you know, it would be awesome if Amazon gave us position data in the reports, but they just don't.
Right. Are all keywords in the buy ad group supposed to be exact match type?
Such a good question. You know, buy ad group is all, okay, so let's kind of, the buy ad group is really going to be the stuff that doesn't convert. So it's kind of like this stuff, right? Right here. Yeah. It's the stuff that's not working for me. Most of this is going to get paused, but it's the stuff that's like got sales, but you know, like 15, 20, 30 sales, the high A cost, but not this kind of A cost. These high ones, like 167, 156, I just shut those guys down with only 2 sales. But some of them have high sales. I'm going to take whatever match type that is and move it. So if it's a broad match performing like that, I move it. If it's a phrase match, I move it. You know, I move it as the match type it is. So that's another key factor. You know, when you're moving your buy stuff, it's pretty much stuff that is selling but not profitably. You just move it from wherever it's at to the group, to the buy group, and you do it by match type, whatever it is existing.
Okay. It looks like Carolina needed a little clarification on her question that we've just gone over. She wants to know what to do with those 9 campaigns.
Okay, you pause all those other campaigns. You take the one that has the most sales data. You do a bulk download, which I have to make a big note here because like a lot of people have questions about bulk download, which we probably need a reporting PDF. You do a bulk download, and then you take those keywords, Caroline, from your bulk download, and you move them into new ad groups in the one campaign. You won't be able to manage 9. You're right. Visually, you can't manage 9 on the same product. It'd be weird. So you shut down 8, keep 1. Take a bulk download file of all your good performing keywords because your best performing keywords should still be in the one that's working. And then you're going to go ahead and take everything out of the other 8 that you're shutting down and just moving them into the appropriate campaign structure like this, right? You're going to move them into this, this stuff. You're going to move them into a campaign structure that makes sense. And because you're coming off of some data, you may do a little bit of this brand shop browse, but you could also be doing a little bit of scale and maybe buy. It sounds like you have some stuff that's, you know, needs to have the bid lowered.
Okay. And kind of going off of that, this person is basically asking, how do you manage all of this work? The monitoring, the optimizing, the cost per keyword, pausing, updating keyword bids. If you have 10 products, They said, it seems like a full-time job. Are you using software or virtual assistants? You know, what are you kind of doing to manage all that, Sheree?
Well, I mean, we do. We have a team, but it can be totally done. It's not. If you're just one person managing your campaigns, you should be able to do the majority of work on your own. And you need to at least do the work until you have a solid understanding of what sells and you have a solid understanding of your workflow and the scale potential in your market. You really should carve that out on your own before you offhand that to somebody else. But then, it's just takes time. But if you're very efficient in your workflow, it's not going to be a full-time job by any stretch of the imagination to do one account.
Okay, let me go down here. Somebody's asked about the placement report. So the placement report that you had mentioned, and we'd mentioned how to pull that and everything. Is this just a for your information report, or is there something of value that we're getting from that? Is there some sort of action that's based on that information of the report? What are they doing with it?
I love the placement report to show me where I'm at, like in my metrics, because you're still going to have to go from Q1 to Q2 to Q3 to Q4 and look at how your campaigns are growing. You're going to have to look if you're capturing top of search, how many impressions you have Q1 over Q2. So like placement reports are great just for metrics. You're absolutely right. There's nothing you can do with a placement report to kind of, there's no actionable metric here for you to change, but this is very important for you to keep the pulse of your overall traffic and visibility on Amazon and to keep the pulse on how things are going from one quarter to the next.
Okay. Fine tuning on the child ASINs. Are you saying that if I have 10 color variations rather than one winner, it makes good strategy to go with an ad group of 3 of the top ASINs and pause the others? Or are you just going with the top winning ASIN?
Okay, this is a good one. Okay, first of all, if you're talking about, we go back into our campaign strategy from this week. So first of all, it depends on what kind of product you have. So you're saying you're in this world. You're in the skinny jeans world, right? You're in the skinny jeans campaign structure where you're going to be advertising your skinny jeans. You have a parent-child relationship, but there's certain color variations of these jeans and style variations, whether it's distressed or ripped or black or blue, that people are looking for. So with that, here we go. In this campaign structure, you would have your best-selling ASIN. In this one, it's going to be say it's the black opal. So, okay, you have your very best selling ASIN goes against your broad keywords. So if I'm saying skinny jeans for women, and then I'm going up here even broader into brows, women's jeans, jeans for women. Okay, and even my own brand, I'm going Levi's jeans. Okay, so I got my brand keywords, Levi's jeans. I've got my brows keywords, women's jeans. I've got my shop keywords, skinny jeans. My best selling ASIN is the only ad running in those groups. Brows, shop, brand. All of them are running to the very best selling ASIN. Those keywords are going to be competitive. They're going to be mean. I need to be focused. I need to win. I need to have high sales conversions. I need to have high performance to get those, capture those short and mid-tail keywords to competition, right? Coming at it with my best performer, the guy I'm going to take to the races. Now I see, oh, but people also shop for black skinny jeans. People also shop for, where is that? We went up above. People also shop for ripped skinny jeans. People also shop for, those, just say blue skinny jeans. Okay, my black skinny jeans can go in their own ad group with only the black keywords, right? So on that one, I'm going to say, okay, people searching for just black, I'm going to bring them just to the black ASIN, not my best selling one, but the one that is defined by the features and benefits. Then I have, okay, people that want the ripped skinny jeans, that ad group is going to be only ripped skinny jean keywords going to my ripped skinny ASIN, right? So you can see like my main seeds are always going to the best seller. My brows, my shop, my brand, best seller, competitors, best seller, always. But these single keywords, like single keyword skinny jeans, always going to the best seller. But when I start getting into modifiers like ripped and black and blue, I'm absolutely going to, if they get enough search volume, which these do, I've got a decent amount of people looking for ripped. I'm going to put that particular variation in its own ad group, but only with the ripped keywords, only with the black keywords in another ad group in the black jeans. So if you have color variations, you without question should create a custom keyword list. Say you had color variations of skinny jeans, and you would do skinny jeans white, skinny jeans blue. If you know these keywords are how people search for your product, skinny jeans for women blue, skinny jeans for women white, you would create a custom keyword list of the modifiers that define the product's features and benefits, and you would go ahead and advertise those specific variations in their own ad groups. And if the search volume was massive, like we talked about up here for coffee, if it was a massive amount of search volume, then you would go ahead and hit it even in its own campaigns, because you're not going to be able to clock it in ad groups. I mean, you know, when you're looking at a difference, these are all coffee searches, but when you're talking 350,000 searches a month on Amazon for K-Cups, that's a massive category on its own. That goes in its own campaign. Coffee beans is going to go in its own campaign, and so is ground coffee. They're just beasts. They should not be in their own their own products, their own campaigns. But if you're in one variation, like down here, like Levi's, you need to get those all in one campaign, and then small ad groups that are going to kind of define the unique modifiers if they have search volume to merit it. But no matter what you do with this, sorry, you got to make sure that the skinny jeans seed keywords for skinny jeans and skinny jeans for women are all going to the bestseller. That makes sense.
All right. I've got somebody who wants you to clarify, when you have a good search term pulled from your report and you put it in the scale campaign, where do you start the bid? They're asking if it's roughly 3 times your break-even bid.
I start the bid till I rank. So I started at the high end of the suggested bid, and then I continue to increase incrementally, like in, sometimes 40 cents, sometimes 60 cents. I'm fairly aggressive to get rank. So I incrementally increase my bid until I see the ad rank.
Okay.
Visually go manually search for the keyword, see where your ad's at on desktop incognito browser.
Okay. What do you think of Bid Plus?
I don't use Bid Plus. I don't find it necessary. It's not my bidding strategy. As you can see, I increase my bids competitively. I have a good handle on bids. That's one thing I don't need to leave up to the algorithm, right? They say they're going to put you and they're going to rank you, and that's all fine, but I like to put my own bids and see that I'm actually ranked. So Bid Plus is not especially interesting to me, and I don't use it in any of my campaigns.
Okay. And when structuring your brand and competitor keyword ad groups, you're adding many keywords, almost hundreds. Do you set them all to the same ad group and same in the ad group as both broad and phrase?
Sure do. To see which ones work, you're going to be pausing a ton of keywords. With competitors, it's a higher ACoS. You're going to have to pause. Talking about that 2x per week. Watch your competitor keywords like a hawk. They don't always convert because it's a competitor. They are definitely we talk about it in our tiered strategy. They're at the end because they're a tricky strategy and they're really worth winning, but you got to watch them close. So competitors keywords. I'm not putting, just so you know, hundreds of variations across each competitor. Each competitor probably has no more than like 10 keywords max defining their brand and products in that group. I've just got a lot of competitors in that group. So I'm putting all my competitors in one group. If I'm doing product display, I segment it out by brand, by product. If I'm doing sponsored products, competitive targeting, I put all keywords in one group, all competitors keywords, and I usually keep it to about 10 to 15 max competitors, keywords per competitor, and they're all in there. So when you see those big competitor lists, that's really as a result of me having a lot of competitors.
All right. I've got a review question. What if we have a 4-star review rating, but our competitors are all 4-star or lower? Does this still affect our relevance and our ad cost? Or because we have a review rating that is equal or higher to the competitors, does it not have the same effect?
It shouldn't have the same effect. That it should definitely be, you're totally right. Like Amazon's going to look at the overall market and like assess you up against your competition. So that's not a bad thing, but I'm going to tell you the shopper doesn't know that. The shopper is not aware that no one has a 5-star review. So the shopper is going to continue to click different products until they see a better review. They may never get one and they may concede and come back to you. But when you're paying for those clicks, it can get kind of pricey because they may see your 4-star review and think other things they've bought on Amazon have higher reviews. And then they may think, I'm going to go see if there's a product with better reviews. They may go look for that product with better reviews. I'm just thinking how a shopper would shop. They'll go look for the product with better reviews and then say, oh man, I guess no one has a better review. Then they come back to you, which is all fine and dandy, except you're paying for all that. You know, you paid for that click to get them to your page. So as long as in the end they buy, it should be fine. But you still could see a lower conversion rate, which could mess with your ad stats, but you got to see. In the end, you'll still win the sale, so it might not be a bad deal. So like you're saying, they're going to say, oh man, they're going to see your 4-star review and they're going to start shopping other products. So your shopper is going to automatically be on more product pages to kind of combat that low review, because they're going to be looking for a better one. So as they start moving onto your competitors' pages, as long as they come back to you, then the ad campaign is going to be successful. The only problem with that is it's a wild card when they go out to these other pages if they're going to buy there or
not. Okay. This is just a question. Let's see here. They've got products with parent and child ASINs. They have 6 variations. You're telling them to run the best-selling child ASIN, of course, because we've gone over that 100 times today, I think. What if they run out of stock on the best-selling ASIN, but they have stock for the variations? Is the ad going to continue to run, or because that advertised ASIN is out, will it not run anymore?
It won't run anymore. If that ASIN is out, you'll need to rotate another ad in that you can keep in there as a backup and keep it paused. So say you set the campaigns up and the ad groups up. At the ad group level, put your number 1 in that you're advertising. Put the second ad in for your number 2 performer based on sessions and percentages. Get that one in there and then pause it. Don't go live with it. If the one runs out of inventory, you can activate the second. But no, it's not going to do it manually.
Okay. Do you want to go over what a bulk download is, or is that something you're going to cover later on?
You'll have to do it manually. It won't do it automatically. I'm sorry. So yes, Melissa, one more time.
Oh, sorry. Do you want to cover what a bulk download is, or are we going to cover that in a whole class?
I think it's not a whole class. Well, in like the later sessions for optimization, we'll cover advertising reports in detail because you'll be using them so much to optimize. But that's in Act 3 that we start out with reports. But the bulk download is just it's a pretty simple report. I'll put it on my list here to add it. You just go into your campaign manager. You'll see the bulk section, and you just go download a bulk download report. You can also Google it, or in Seller Central look for it. It's a very simple thing. You just go in and download your bulk download report.
I think there was a really good video when we first came across it and started using it. There was a really good video that we watched that we found. I can't remember if it was through Amazon or through YouTube, but there's some really good information on how to use those.
Yeah, do some Googling on the bulk download file. They're awesome because it's a good file to use for sure.
Okay. When we're launching a campaign based on what you've taught so far, what's the range of keyword volume you would expect to start with?
Range of keyword volume. It just is going to depend on your own product. See how different they are. Like here, if I'm in coffee, it's crazy. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that. This is Amazon.com. A lot of people buy coffee. I have no control over this. It's huge. This volume here is massive. That's going to be a big, bad campaign to run. If I'm over here into beard oil, not very much demand. Like, look how many people search for it, 152K. It's not scary. You could take that whole category with without a huge investment. And then if I go over here into jeans, I have a lot more on women's jeans. But skinny jeans is pretty manageable, about 217,000 in the volume. So as you can see, there's no category that's the same. You go here from 500,000 searches to, 800,000 searches on Espresso, 800,000 searches. It's a massive spend to get that going. Down to 152,000 searches for beard oil, down to 217,000 for jeans. So it has everything to do with how the category is shopped, how much demand there is. Again, this is awesome for economics, though. When you're trying to plan market demand for something, this will show it to you right up in your face. Keyword search volume shows you how much people want something and how often they buy it. But that's for sure the case. There's no threshold. Every product's going to differ, but you should understand your balancing point. You should understand where your high is at for skinny jeans, which is about 217,000, and then where your low is at, which is coming in like around 4,500, some as low as 2,000. So you could say your keyword search volume on the mid-tail for skinny jeans is somewhere between 2,000 and 220,000, right? So you kind of know that range and you know where you're headed. You do want to know the range for your product, but they're going to vary. Like, I don't know what beard oil is. So beard oil ranges about the same way. It ranges from really kind of that 2,500 up to 152,000 searches. So you kind of need to know what the range is to calculate your own search volume. It'll be different.
Okay, let's see here. How can we do competitive research if there are no direct competitors? They have a new product, and all their keywords are contextual keywords. They don't know how to find new keywords. Where do you suggest they're looking?
That's interesting. You mean you have a new product that's never been sold before?
That's what I'm kind of getting out of it. It says that there is no direct competitors.
There's got to be what category? I would start at the category you would list it in. There's got to be a category for it.
Okay.
Start at the category and whatever competitors are dominating that category, even though you might have a new variation, it should still be something that people are already buying in some capacity, I think. I don't know what that really would mean.
Okay. We'll move on to the next question. In the PDF that you're working on right now, are you going to go over how to group all of the keywords from WordTree and the previous research?
Yes.
Awesome.
Very simple grouping. It is. It's a really straightforward thing when you get it in one place.
Okay. It looks like this is a campaign structure question. I have 2 campaigns going for my product, one with all phrase match and one with all broad match. Should I have a third with all exact match?
No. Say that one more time again.
I have 2 campaigns going for my product. One is with all phrase match. One is with all broad phrase match. And and then it says, should I have a third with all exact match?
No. Why do you have 2 separate campaigns for your product with broad and phrase match? I mean, why? I'm asking you like you can answer me. I'm sorry. Okay, as the brain cells start to dip at 2:20, we know when the brain cells start to dip at the 2-hour mark. Okay, so man, I don't know why I wouldn't do that. That sounds like an AdWords strategy to me. That sounds like a search-based, text-based strategy, not an Amazon strategy. I don't really see the advantage in running your campaigns broad and phrase separately. I think that it's more about not the keyword match type, but how the shopper searches. Where are they at in the buying funnel so you can determine where your bids are going to be? So to me, it's like, are they at a place where they're really looking for your stuff? Because you need a high bid. You want to capture those. Are they still browsing? Because that would be a lower bid, just return on investment wise. Is this proven data coming out of your search term report? Man, that's the highest bid ever. You already know it sells. You need all that traffic. To me, I'm going to really look at and my structure based on where I'm going to invest my bids and budget. The main thing you want to think about here, and this is the best I can say on this, is that ad groups, and just know that Amazon did take a lot of structure from Google, but it doesn't matter because Amazon shoppers don't shop like they don't shop like Google searchers, so it doesn't matter. Just because the platform has some cues algorithm-wise from Google, Amazon also has all its own data and its own system, and e-commerce and Amazon, man, people don't shop at all the same between Google and Amazon. It's like night and day. So, okay, so the main thing you want to take away is no matter which platform you're in, it's called an ad group, right? It's called an ad group, not a keyword group. If it was meant to just group your keywords, it would be called a keyword group. So it's like, you don't really want to be thinking about your structure as like, I've got one campaign with all the keywords that are a broad match, and then I've got one campaign with all the keywords that are a phrase match. A campaign is like, what are you campaigning for, right? Your campaign defines the product. What is this campaign about? And then your ad group defines who you're advertising to and what you're advertising and where they're at in Amazon in the shopping funnel or the decision path, the path to purchase. Where are they at to making a decision? So like, to me, I wouldn't do it that way. I think it's useful to have keywords that drive the most sales as broad and phrase just to get double the traffic. Exact match to me is a strategy for proven keywords. So keywords that have come out of my search term report that are proven are going to always be exact match. If I'm testing, I will test them as exact match sometimes as well. I showed you guys that earlier, like in beard oil. I would test beard oil for men as exact match because it's such an exact term. I mean, I think it's like a little bit, I'm not sure that I would do it that way. I think I would focus more on, the only thing I would separate out is broad and phrase into their own groups to try to get double the traffic. I don't know if I'd have separate campaigns based on match types.
Okay, and I think we're getting down to like our last 3 questions here.
We are, because we jammed another almost 3-hour Q&A. We are on the path to advertising mania.
We did really, really well today. I just want to let you guys know, I mean, everything that I've copied over, I'm looking at row 95 of my spreadsheet, and we covered a good dang majority of these questions.
It's awesome. I didn't know what I was going to do when I first saw these questions, especially because we were just right at the beginning, and I was like, man, well, I've had questions before, but never this many questions. This might be more than I can do.
Right. So Celix, what do you think about Celix as a tool?
The guy who owns it seems super sharp, but I've never used it, so I don't have any data on that. The guy that owns PPC Scope, Brian Johnson, he's sharp. He's a sharp guy. So Brian Johnson's one of the best PPC guys out there. So I assume his tool's good, but I don't use it. I'm really aligned in terms of my choice in the market. There's a lot of there, but I personally chose Seller Labs. I chose it myself. I looked at all the tools. I decided which one I was going to put my bets on, and so I chose that tool. Everyone's got to have their own, whatever they like to do, they got to do. But I'm certainly not going to downplay Brian Johnson's brilliance in PPC. So his tool's probably pretty good. And I'm definitely not going to say that the guy from Celix really knows his stuff too. So it's just going to be what you're looking for in a tool. The kind of things I like to do is in the Seller Labs tool, so I chose it.
Okay. Do you suggest that they hold off from implementing what they've learned so far into their existing ad groups until you cover everything?
No, you go. I mean, we were going to hand out a couple more days and you understand the structure. I would go back to that free session, the second free session we did leading up to this training, because I really made those free sessions standalone value packs. The 3 previous sessions are rocking. There's a lot of value in those, and they cover the fundamentals. Not as much detail as we're going into here, but they're good. I did a really good download in the second session. Make sure you have the download in the members area, not just the video. There's a download on campaign structure. And the last page, I show you the visual of how we structure campaigns. I really think with everything you guys have, it's so good to learn by doing. And the more data you have for your search term reports, the better. I would say as we move into week 5, you should go for it. Like, you know, get clear, get your questions ready for this call so you're never lost on the trail. But start, because the only way to do it is to do it. You've got to learn it by doing it. So I would suggest you get started.
Okay, and the last question that we have here, it's somebody's asking you to walk through the cadence of going from the search term report to the flow into different ad groups for phase 1 and phase 2. Is that something that they can find within previous videos, or do you want to go over it quick?
I'm going to go over that with Fedor's question. That's a good question right there about search term reports. And Caroline, thank you so much for being so positive. And Smile, well, your name is Smile. It goes without saying. You're awesome. And Julie, thank you so much. Hosfield, all you guys that have just hung so tight on today's call with so many good questions and powered through. I really appreciate it. But Fedor, good question. So, okay, going from the search term report. So, man, I wish I had an example to show you of keywords. That would be a little easier. But let's just say, let's use this beard oil example and say that in my search term report, I had run single keyword traffic on broad and phrase. So let's just say that I had a broad beard oil running and I had a phrase beard oil running. Okay, got both those, broad and phrase. So those are what I call my mining words. Beard oil is my main seed. It's the only seed here with enough traffic for me to care about. It's got 152,000 searches. Everything else looks pretty tiny. I'm going to go ahead and look at this and say, okay, so here's my keywords. Hold on 1 second. Sorry about that. Oh, okay, sorry guys, I had to get up there. All right, so if I'm running beard oil and I have that as my single, so I have beard oil broad and beard oil phrase running in my campaign, and then the search term report brings back beard oil for men in the search term column. Okay, I'm gonna take that keyword and I'm gonna take that and take it as an exact match into what I call a scale ad group. So then beard oil for men is going to go as exact into scale. It has 2+ sales. I see it in the search term report. It came off of the main seed, beard oil. Now I go ahead and put beard oil for men. And then it's not going to look this clean. It's going to come back and say natural beard oil for men. It's going to be another search term coming off of beard oil. I'm going to go ahead and put it as exact match in my scale group as well. And then I'm going to continue through the whole sheet, and every single keyword that is not the same as beard oil, it's a unique variation of beard oil, and has 2+ sales, I'm going to put it into my scale ad group as exact match. Now, if it's something that could be more broad, like like oil for beard or something kind of broad, I might go ahead and put it into the scale group as exact and broad. It won't matter if you don't do it that way. If you put them all in as exact, that's where most of your traffic's going to come from. So you're going to go ahead and every single keyword that comes off the word beard oil, every variation goes into scale as an exact match keyword. And then I just continue to go through that. If my brand search, so let's just say my brand is Levi's, I'm running a ton of Levi's traffic at the scale. My search term report is going to show me, oh, okay, I've got Levi's women's jeans. I've got Levi's skinny. These are going to be my search terms. I add those to my brand ad group as exact as well. And from there, I just kind of mine everything out of the search term report. And then I see a keyword that comes in, and it's got a terrible ACoS. It looks like that stuff I showed you earlier. If I see something with a terrible ACoS, I go ahead and say, okay, what is my max CPC? I lower the bid at the keyword level, and I move that keyword to what I call a buy group. People are buying, but it's not especially profitable. And then that's just kind of how I sort through the report. We're covering search term reports and search term mining next week, so you'll see a lot more visuals. But that is kind of the workflow, is you're just taking everything in that search term report and moving it. Okay, Smiley's saying, do you still scale beard oil for men okay. I scale it if it has 2+ orders, Smile. I don't worry. I don't worry about how much the volume is when I get it out of the search term report. If it has 2+ orders, it just automatically goes into my scale group. And then I hope that helps better. And then Rob's got one last question there on budget, Melissa.
Yeah. What's the relationship of budget to the amount of keywords, thus ST clicking away?
Search term clicking away. Okay, so budget and the amount of keywords. I see what you mean, like where you're going to be blowing it. I'm just telling you right now, if you get into any keyword with more than 100,000 searches, you got to be prepared for it. It's going to be big. It's going to be big on Amazon, because you guys can already see the data here. Like these keywords, like some of these keywords only have in the report like a cap of this many searches, and we get so many more impressions because of other placements, and just the way the whole algorithm like separates stuff. Only a single keyword is driving 1,877 clicks. So the spend on that one keyword over 60 days is about 4,000. So it kind of depends on what keyword you're doing. But these all are super manageable. But I have other campaigns where the keywords are in that crazy range, like we just looked at. I'd say anything over 150K, 100K, you're getting to massive search volume. This is fairly manageable. It's a little more of a niche product. But if you're getting into big categories on Amazon, like coffee, right? You're getting into categories that are grocery. You're getting into home categories. Woo! If you're getting into the big categories on Amazon and you start to see search volume like this, that's where you just have to be careful. You know, when you get into keywords that have search volume in the 800,000, 350,000, 177,000, those can be fairly expensive. So that's where your budget might really kick in for you and knock you out there. So you just want to look at that. Okay, great. So yeah, for sure, like it's just when you get into these high categories, a keyword like coffee beans will eat all your budget if you rank it. At 177,000, unless you have a totally unlimited budget, which a lot of clients do, and you're okay there. But if you have a limited budget, these high volume keywords will eat up all your money, and you're not going to get to mine the granular stuff, those good search terms that are going to make you money over time. So you definitely don't want to concede these big, you don't want to concede all the good mid-tail like skinny jeans to capture these big guys in the beginning. So how on the shop and browse and ad groups. Melissa, can you ask me Feder's next question? It was a follow-up to that one.
Yep. Yeah. Can you please elaborate on the shop and browse ad groups and keywords?
Shop and browse, shop and browse. Yes, I can. Let's do it. Let's just do it live so you can get an idea. So if I were to do this, this is a really good example. I wish I had the other, these are shop keywords here. See, these are already kind of drilled down because I show you guys how to find your shop keywords through the tools so you're not going into the broad stuff. Let me see if I can figure out how to show you. So this is all shop right here. Okay, so Feder, if I was doing this, this would be going into my shop group because if I could show you one step back, I wish I could, but I don't have a screenshot for this class. Okay, so let me explain to you how the Levi's funnel went. So when I did the search for jeans, I started at the top of the funnel and it was a jeans search. From there, the jeans went a few directions. It was for men, it was for women, and then it was for all these styles, right? So the way people shop for jeans is they say they want jeans for men, jeans for women, then they go jeans for juniors. So they kind of start by category, by like gender categories. So they go men, women, juniors, right? That's kind of how the main tiers started. And then from there, they started to tag in some styles. So before they even do a style search, they were searching for like the gender. So the Levi's cycle, the jean cycle, if I'm doing Levi's, I've got brand, and let's go to the product I'm selling because it'll be easier to look at the keywords. Okay, so when I did this Levi's search, the first thing they had was brand. A lot of people search for Levi's, and that's like a top tier brand. That would either be a competitor for me if it's not it would be my brand, right? So let's just say it's my brand, Levi's. That's step one. Now from Levi's, they drill down and they say, okay, men or women's. Now at that point, I am only selling these jeans, which are obviously for women. So at that point, I remove all the keywords from my list related to men because I'm not selling a men's product. So my browse keywords would be everything related to women. I'm never going to go up into jeans. I don't even consider jeans a browse keyword. I consider it just super broad. I would never use jeans in advertising. I would be doing everything I could to rank on those keywords organically through good advertising. But jeans is far too general of a search ever to leverage in ads. You want targeted traffic always, above all else. Targeting is the number one key to winning in ads. So jeans is too broad. I'm not interested in that. But I have these skinny jeans. So I'm interested in women's jeans as a browse keyword, right? So all my browse is going to be related to women's. It's going to be women's jeans, jeans for women. It's not going to have any kind of product modifier. No one's really shopping yet. They're just saying, hey, I'm a lady and I want some jeans. At that point, I want to catch them at the top of the funnel if I can afford it. It's about 500,000 searches for women's jeans. I consider that browse. One, just based on the volume, and two, based on the fact that they're nowhere near defining my product's features and benefits. They're just kind of saying they want jeans for women, which could be boot cut, which could be bell bottom, which could be overalls, which could be any style that this particular lady likes to wear. But then this goes even a step further. So all women's searches go into browse. Jeans themselves, far too general. Levi's is a brand, my brand or a competitor brand. Now I go in and it says, okay, so this starts going as we watched the searches in the Helium 10 tool. We watched how the shopper was searching and we could see they go, okay, I want jeans for women. Man, I want a certain style. Now they're getting close to buying. And I call this shopping because they are shopping, which means they are no longer just looking at, it's not like it's Saturday and they're saying what's going on in women's jeans. They're saying, I want skinny jeans. They know what style they're looking for and they're getting closer to buying, which means it's a better investment in my bidding strategy to put money on these, right? I know they want just what I'm selling and they're closer to purchasing. So shop is a little bit more valuable of a keyword. It doesn't make the rest not valuable. It's a big picture, but it's probably my most valuable when I'm testing. So I say, okay, shop. Now they're saying they want skinny jeans. These are my skinny jeans. I sell skinny jeans. Okay, so my shop keywords would then be drilled down into this group that we see right here. Skinny jeans for women. These are all going in shop. My women's jeans are browse, right? They're real high volume. I may not even get to tackle them in phase one. Skinny jeans, I'm tackling on all keywords though. Skinny jeans for women, skinny jeans women. Then I'm going to use those match types better, like I was talking about. Skinny jeans for me is going to be phrase. Skinny jeans for me is going to be broad. It's definitely a phrase though. Skinny jeans for women is going to be exact and broad for me. All in the same shop group. And what I'm basically saying is there. And so then if I'm trying to go a little more granular, I say, wow, I have black skinny jeans, right? That's its kind of its own, it's got its own modifier. I go back to my product listing and I say, okay, on the black skinny jeans, I'm going to advertise my black opal because people want black. Those are going to convert like crazy. But this is where you have to remember it's a big picture. The black opal is going to get like 4,500 searches a month. That's not going to make me rich. It's certainly not going to it's not going to make me a category killer. That's for sure. So black skinny jeans women is interesting. On the train though, it's not. So it's interesting because I'm in some sales there. Category and to get that velocity that only Amazon offers us. The reason we're all here today is because Amazon is massive and so valuable. To get that velocity, I have to capture this skinny jeans market, right? So you can kind of segment them out, but the black is interesting, but it's not nearly as interesting as capturing skinny jeans and bringing traffic to all these ASINs and all this category and then taking that badge, right? So so that's the way I break it down. Feder, did that help? Kind of give you a little more insight on how I segment them out? All right. So yeah, I can kind of read the chat. That's why when I ask questions, I haven't lost my mind. I'm not talking to myself. I'm actually talking to you guys through the admin. Amazing. I don't know how it works, but I'm like looking at what you guys are saying and I'm reading it and talking to you. So not to myself. Okay, good stuff. And I feel like we covered all the questions today, you guys. This was an awesome session. Yes, Feder, good. Glad you got it. Woohoo! Score. It's a tough one to explain. I know, Beatrice, thank you so much for hanging tight. You guys have been amazing. And I honestly have loved the last 2 sessions. I feel super blessed that we got into this platform and everything's running smooth. And everybody who's been with us here on the trail, I am so excited to be working with you guys because this is how the class was designed. And you guys know this from your business, right? Like this is how the class was designed in my mind, what we're doing right here. But the first 3 weeks didn't work anything like that. So I'm sure you see that in your business too, right? Where you're like, well, in my mind, it was gonna look like this. But in reality, it looks like this, you know what I mean? And it's terrible. And that's how it was. The first 3 weeks, I was like, gosh, that's not what I'm trying to do. This is not working. So it's really nice. This week has been so good and it has worked the way I wanted it to work. And thank you guys so much for staying with me until I could get it right so that we could enjoy our time together every week. And everybody enjoy your weekend. And we will catch up next Tuesday talking about your search term reports, how to pull them, how to sort them, how to read them, and then how to structure them to make a whole bunch of money on Amazon. And until next time.